5, 4. Gather around, freaks. The big book of British bonds is closed, and the dirt, mud, and blood-covered grimoire is oozing green goo and yellow pus. The cover opens, and the pages flip open to chapter 25. So gather around the internet radio on the mantle and gather around the internet campfire, because it's time once again for... Hey, did you see this one?
The night is dark, and the air is still. The moon casts an eerie glow over the internet, where a group of curious individuals have gathered to discuss their shared fascination for the macabre. They hold in their hands a book with a foreboding presence, bound in flesh and inked in blood, a tome of horror that only opens its pages when a sacrifice is made. Within its ancient passages lie the secrets of the most infamous murderers and monsters of all time. Join us. But beware, for once this book is open, there's no telling what horrors may be unleashed. This is the Grimoire of Familiar Killers.
I don't get it. They should be here by now.
What are you gonna do?
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deje de estar viendo memes, pendejo.
¡A la verga, me vale verga, perro! ¡Y cállate a la verga, hija de su puta madre, a la verga! ¡La verga, vergazos!
What the hell?
That was Chucky in Spanish.
I didn't know you were going to play that.
That was
I think he says punta in there at one point.
I thought I heard a pendejo, but moly, dude.
Speaking of Chucky, before I get to my intros here, I believe we have a State of the Union address from the Chuckster himself.
Oh yeah, in order so as the first closed chapter of the Grimoire of Familiar Killers, this is the first time in the history of the book of the Grimoire that a chapter is coming to close. So we have to give Chucky his time to shine and his award. Chucky?
Well. Look who's finally getting the recognition he deserves. Damn right. It's me, Chucky, the legend, the icon, the nightmare wrapped in a good guy box. And tonight, I stand before you not just as the most famous pint-sized slasher, but also the first closed chapter of the Grimoire of Familiar Killers. It's about damn time, too. I've done it all. Voodoo curses, soul transfers, rampages of glorious chaos. I've survived reboots, remakes, and even that weird phase where people thought I'd gone soft. Spoiler alert, I never did. I've made kids afraid of their toys and parents afraid of their kids. And for all that, I get to be the first? Now that's an honor. To my fellow killers, Freddy, Jason, Michael, hey, don't get jealous. Some of us were just born for this kind of legacy. And to my loyal fans, the only ones who cheered every time I let loose with a maniacal laugh, I see you. I hear you. I appreciate you. So before I go, a little advice. If a doll whispers your name in the dark, burn it. 'Cause you never know when I might decide to take an encore. Thanks for the honor. Thanks for the nightmares. And remember, I always come back.
No. Chucky, where does you go?
I've got a lot of dolls to burn.
Yeah. So after this, I guess we'll have to do a new show where we cover the TV show.
I can't wait to hear Jason Voorhees' speech.
It's just silent. Just...
Or he just goes up and he's like,
oh wow, what an honor. Thanks for having me here, guys.
Well, this is, of course, hey, did you see this one? We've opened the Spring Grimoire. It's the Grimoire of Familiar Killers 7, Spring Grimoire 3. We do this twice a year now. So our titles are getting just as long as the movie titles that we're covering. This one's pretty short. Of course, this is Cult of Chucky. We're closing the chapter on Chucky. I also figured out this is chapter 25 of the Grimoire, so that's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. Episode 174 of the show, and if you're playing at home, season 3, episode 25. I want to just say thank you to all the subscribers on YouTube. We reached 400 subscribers today on YouTube. Yeah. That's a milestone.
Great.
After the show tonight, I'm going to put together a playlist of all our Chucky episodes so you can go back and see. And speaking of playlists, I would like to introduce our guests tonight. Check this out. For the 7th time, Alex Gall returns to the show. Alex, thank you for coming back.
This will be my 7th appearance and my 3rd appearance where you say I'm going to have a playlist when I already have one.
It's true. And in second place with the most times on the show behind Noel, who has 11 as of last week. 10th time appearing on Hey, Did You See This One? Wow. Tim Covey. He's back.
10? This has been. Wow.
And this is
don't
special.
forget the first time though. Mark Twain's fantabulous journey to the center of the earth, or whatever the fuck it was.
That was a wild ride.
But I also, in my twisted game, I wanted these two to interact with one another. So welcome to my twisted game in the Grimoire. Wow. Like I said,
oh shit! I thought he left.
Like I said, Cult of Chucky is the movie we're talking about this week. I think what we'll do first is we'll do a little bit of a quick synopsis. Is Zardos out there? Is Zardos here?
Zardos, hello.
Zardos speaks to you.
He's here.
He demands you synopsize this film. Tell him how, why, who, what occurs in this film.
We should get him on the show.
I mean, we've been trying for weeks and weeks, but
people don't fall back with you, eh?
Yeah, he's got a lot of settlements to visit and a lot of guns to barf out into, random mostly naked men's laps.
He floats by every week and just asks us to synopsize and then disappears into the ether. I'll take it. I'll take it this week. It's pretty quick. I'm going to use what I think is the best description of this movie. Chucky returns to terrorize his human victim, Nica, who is confined to an asylum for the criminally insane. Meanwhile, the killer doll has some scores to settle with his old enemies with the help of his former wife. Or is it Jennifer Tilly? Or is it both? Or how many dolls are there?
It's both. I think. I'm pretty sure it's both. Anyway, he also found a new voodoo curse that allows him to transfer himself into multiple things at once. So there's just a bunch of Chuckys
online.
I think, yeah,
Found it online. Yeah,
I mean, he found out how to do it the first time with a book on or for dummies or whatever. That's how Jennifer Tilly figured it out.
That's how I learned to kiss girls. Yeah,
yeah. I think it's safe
voodooforDummies.com.
I think it's safe to assume that she also knows how to transfer herself into multiple dolls / people as well. So it could be both. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Let's
pretty straightforward process too.
Yeah,
it really is.
Rumble some words and hold the hand of your
no reagents or anything. There's nothing. It's just you could accidentally do that. I think.
Yeah, like a bad rendition of Kumbaya, and you're there. Yeah,
yeah.
That's probably the best.
I accidentally transferred my soul into this pineapple.
But it can walk around because that's kind of like the way that it works.
Yeah,
it's also the most dangerous fruit.
Yeah, true. It's up there for sure.
Yeah.
I think
also my nickname in high school, the most dangerous fruit.
Yeah. Cult of Pineapple.
Oh my goodness. I think we can do some brief histories this week. I've got some things to say about this, and since we're coming to the close here, I don't know if either of you guys have been on for Chucky, but this is a celebration of Chucky tonight. So why don't we talk about our brief histories?
Well, I saw the first two Toy Story movies, but I don't know if I missed something after that.
A brief history.
Well, Alex, since you already started telling us about, I think you might have watched the wrong movie, but why don't you give us your brief history with this film and Chucky in general? I think.
Well, I first saw Jurassic Park in theaters. No, you know what? I don't have really any history with Chucky at all. Yeah, I mean, I watched under advisement from Jason. I watched the one before this, right? Something else of Chucky.
Curse.
What's that?
Curse.
Curse of Chucky. Yeah.
Here, hold on. I'll play that episode of this show in its entirety before we.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that'll get me caught up. And I would say it's definitely a necessary primer for this one.
Yeah, I think you're okay to not have seen the other several, but there are, if you have seen them, it doesn't hurt as well, you know.
Yeah.
Like just Jennifer Tilly's character in general is kind of a big plot point in this movie, but not a necessary thing to do your homework on. But I mean, you know, Chucky is a wild ride from beginning to end, and I always recommend that people watch all of them just because it's the only one out of the entire Grimoire that has a thread that starts from the beginning and goes all the way up until the television show that's still going on right now. Anyway, I love Chucky. I'm going to go into my brief history if that's okay.
Yeah, do it. I was going to say, if you've already started.
Yeah, let me do it. So this movie came out in 2017, so I don't have a crazy, like, wow, my experience with the Cult of Chucky when I saw it on Netflix for the first time when I was probably hungover at Lisgar. Yeah, I remember specifically watching this, like, on a Sunday. I don't even know if it got I'm sure it did get a theatrical release, but I did not see it in theater. But I do remember just kind of being like nursing something with a mason jar full of water and like demanding people bring me stuff. Like, somebody bring me some chips. I sounded like Chucky, watching Chucky while feeling like a Chucky victim. But I liked this one. And I was surprised because it had kind of lost its luster for me a little bit. But even just through this podcast, it's been reinvigorated to such a heightened degree that I'm like, you know what, I really do love Chucky, and he is my favorite of the Grimoire killers. Also the least problematic, maybe. I mean, he is a strangler of women, but like, let's forget that for a second. He's so much fun.
But he's not explicitly a strangler of women.
Yeah. And he also knows where the line should be drawn. He's like, sexual assault? No way. This guy's too much over here. So I think he is just like a delightful character. And, you know, we've done all of them now. And the Seed of Chucky and the Bride of Chucky just kind of sort of changes your brain chemistry on what Chucky is and what Chucky can be. And this movie does this sort of wonderful thing that the previous movie was attempting to do, which is like make him scary again without it just being slapsticky, but also still maintaining that comedic edge that he's always had. And it really blossomed in those other two movies. And it's still alive and well in this movie. Like having like a Three Stooges moment with 3 Chucky dolls is pretty great. Like it's pretty amazing. Even if you hate this movie, there are things that you can take away as pleasurable. But yeah, brief history is I saw it when I was really hungover and I liked it, and I liked it again when I watched it yesterday.
Great. How about you, Tim?
I've got next to no history when it comes to Charles, little Charles.
Charles Lee Ray.
Because I saw the classic Child's Play as a kid, and two, and I got kind of like maybe hopscotch through the series, and totally lost touch with Charles until recently when I was asked to come on, and that was, and also like watching through the show here, kind of absorbing it that way. But yeah, it wasn't until kind of watching this again that it. Going back and looking over all the stuff and like, oh yeah, there was that. And, oh yeah, Brad Dourif's daughter's in this, right? Okay, it's not my wheelhouse. I'll say right away. This is not one of my favorite things. For me, when it comes to horror, it's a horse of a different color. And but I still found things to appreciate for this, especially for a $5 million budget movie. They squeezed every penny out of it in northern Manitoba, and I entered it very neutral, and I left somewhat above neutral. So I'll give credit where credit's due. That there was something I did take away from it, as you said, that there was, even for a novice such as I, there was something to absorb. That's my history.
The way he kept saying Charles, you sound like a therapist who's like, I have to refer to him as Charles.
I also think
fall back into his old Chucky-ish ways.
I think about that review was on the back of the box too, the DVD case. Better than neutral.
It's somewhat more than oxygen to watch this movie.
That was Tim's nickname in high school.
More truth to that than you think. But whenever I say Charles, I think about Ian McKellen saying Charles in X-Men movies where Charles.
I think of,
we are the future,
I think of
Charles,
like I'm the Juggernaut bitch level. Charles! Like all the way.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, for me, it's so with the whole Chucky franchise, I've watched it through the lens of this show at this point. It's insane to me that we actually finished, like when we did Chucky, when we did Child's Play 1 and 2, back then I was like, I don't know if we'll like finish one whole franchise. We're gonna finish 2 this year and then move on to a new thing, and we got lots of stuff coming down the pipe. But this movie in particular, I actually had this and the last one confused. I talked about this in October, but this whole movie I found on, I had like, the way that I remember it is I had cable or something in 2017 for like a minute, and then I had Shudder for like a second. And I remember I was really drunk. It was late at night, and I put this on, and it seemed so much scarier than when you watch it now. And it's got this like sterile snow sort of vibe. I think that it might have been a little bit scrambled or something on a shitty TV. I can't remember exactly.
You were watching in a haunted house.
Alcohol may have been a factor from the sounds of it.
Exactly. I think it was. And I remember watching it and being like, this is crazy. There's an asylum and there's multiple Chuckys. And then you watch it for real, and it's like, it's not really scary.
It's not trying to be scary either. It's trying to be goofy, and it's having fun, and it's succeeding, in my opinion.
But my memory versus actually watching it is just that. I
also want to mention, Jason, just for funsies, every single time we've watched a Chucky movie since we started doing Chucky, you're like, I'm gonna watch the entire franchise this week, and you just over the course of years didn't do it.
Well, I will say that's what I was getting to next. This is the first time when I said that, and I actually watched this movie like 6 months ago. I was like, I got to see how this thing ends, and how, because Steve and I, right seconds before the pandemic,
it was during the pandemic.
Was like, okay. Well,
when we were being cheeky, sneaky friends, let's hang out during a global pandemic.
We made nachos and sat and watched the first 6 episodes, and we got to the point. I think the last thing we saw in the show,
the TV show,
was the end, the direct connection to the end of this movie, where it cuts to Jennifer Tilly and Fiona Dourif in a hotel room or something.
That's one of the best things about that show, is that it just picks up almost directly after where this movie leads off. Like, it's just like Don Mancini is just like, it's like his Star Wars, basically. He's like the George Lucas of the Chucky verse. He's always been involved in every way, and he's never kind of allowed anybody else to put their fingerprints on it. But he also allows
just like George Lucas.
Just like George Lucas. Yeah, he did that, right?
Curse and Cult of Chucky feel like the pilot for the TV show in a lot of ways. The way that it's shot, sort of the sterile nature of it. It's kind of a straight to streaming or straight to DVD situation. It kind of, he was like, I'm gonna just continue making.
I mean, he's always had to work with like sort of a shoestring budget for the entirety of these movies. There's never been a Chucky movie where they're like, blank check, balls to the wall, do whatever the fuck you want. He's always had to work within some sort of restrictive budget, and these 2 movies are no different, and the show is no different, but he always does like an admirable job for like what you think of when you think of slasher horror. It's in no way is it sort of what people would call quote unquote elevated horror. It's just goofy, bloody, monstrous.
Let's transfer right into the only thing that's not red on all of our screens. Let's transfer right into production talk on that note, because that's a good place to start.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit.
Sound.
Action!
That's right. Production talk. So Steve was talking about Don Mancini, of course, is the director, creator, writer of, I think, every Chucky movie. Did he direct every?
Not all. No. I think he didn't get into the director's seat for a little bit, but now anytime Chucky's doing something, Don Mancini is like, give me the wheel.
I want a piece.
Put me in, coach. Yeah.
So he's been involved since the second Child's Play, though, right?
Well, he created Chucky. He is the creator of Chucky. Yeah. He's been involved since the very, very beginning. He just didn't direct until a little bit later on, and then that's when he started to get into it. But I think I want to say, hold on, I have to double check, but I want to say he didn't direct until like Bride, but I'm not entirely sure.
While you find that, let me say this. So
Bride, he did not direct. Seed, he did direct, but everything beyond that, he's written every single thing.
To answer your question from earlier about whether it was in theaters or not, I don't believe that it was, based on the wiki article. But what's funny is the movie cost $5 million. It made $2.2 million off of Blu-ray and DVD. It was on Netflix, like you said, so it was just out on Netflix. And shortly before its release, the full movie was leaked onto YouTube. And Don Mancini tweeted, "To the geniuses who lead Cult of Chucky," and tweeted about it, "Congrats. Not only are you terrible people, now Universal lawyers know who you are." So hopefully he was able to take them to the ringers and get some kickback.
I mean, Don Mancini
They,
was
they
also,
sent that 9-year-old kid that uploaded that video straight to the coal mine.
salt mines where they store the original prints of, like Event Horizon or whatever.
He's inside every Chucky suit in this movie.
Don Mancini also famously, his nickname in high school was also Dangerous Fruit, the most dangerous fruit. He is, but it's also one of the reasons that I really love, and I think it's also why like Chucky in general is just kind of a favorite of the LGBTQ community, is because it is like dripping in weird alternative sexuality, but Chucky himself is never really sexual. But like he kind of like codes everything until he gets to the show where he's like, oh, I can actually have like queer characters and have it be part of the plot and make it interesting. If you haven't watched the show, I do recommend it. I think it's pretty good. It's not like the greatest thing ever, but it is like a fun escape. And there are so few slasher television shows that kind of work, in my opinion. And I think Chucky somehow, you wouldn't think that Chucky would make a great TV show, but it does. It does.
It's not like the 80s and 90s when they made like anthology shows, or like the Freddy Krueger one, or Friday the 13th, where they just tell stories. Well, that's what I'm saying. This one is like every episode is a new part of this story that's directly based off of
his weird ass story where he's like, I'm gonna add the voodoo in a whole new way, and then people are like, voodoo? Are we allowed to even say voodoo anymore?
Yeah, it was
Chucky can.
Yeah. It really is interesting talking about the budget versus DVD sales, and then Netflix parlaying into this show where it's so difficult to track how successful franchises are when they do get these streaming deals, and how that is implied with everything, where a simple box office was a very, very straightforward metric to look at. But the one thing that's always seemed to be the thing when it comes to especially slasher horror, but low budget horror movies in general, is that they tend to not cost too much and have guaranteed returns, more or less. So it'd be interesting to learn more about, I mean, not that interesting, but interesting to learn more about what the deal with Netflix was, that it had to have been enough views and clicks on Netflix for Curse and Cult of Chucky for them to say, let's have a meeting and talk about a series. Because he also, Don Mancini, wrote for Hannibal, the Hannibal TV series as well. So like it's not just Chucky. He's no lout when it comes to writing slasher horror in general.
He's like a horror icon in his own way, like his own sort of distinct.
What did he write for Hannibal? The camera pans to Hannibal and the music gets loud.
Yeah, Hannibal cuts up food in a weirdly sexual way, but it looks like a cooking.
The music
show.
is blasting.
Yeah, the music is Chucky, I guess, because he's a weird pervert. Yeah.
The Chucky TV show made it to the USA Network and Sci-Fi, so it's not like those are. It was on cable in the US. We get those like upper cable here,
and it did well.
Those are, like,
Chucky does not seem like he would lend himself to long form like TV
storytelling, but it's crazy good, how well it works too, because there's so much weird lore.
I guess he's less of a monster and more of like a guy, right?
Just a character.
It's not like you couldn't watch Michael Myers walk around for 2 seasons.
Exactly.
Halloween TV show.
You know what I mean? Like
it's shot like the Chucky TV
even
show.
Freddy Krueger, I don't think you could get away with.
No,
it,
for sure.
It's like, what is he doing when they're not asleep? He's like, oh God, they're still awake.
But that's what I kind of liked about Chucky. Is not like he's not like a mythical creature. He's not like some apparition or whatever. It's basically it's just like brain swap. He just was like
He's a man who went into a doll and then decided,
and just continued to be that man
I was doing before, but now I can do it as a doll.
He's not like some mindless like revenge monster or character. He's just like, he's just some weird sleazeball who is inhabiting a doll
who loves playing. Yeah, he's just really
just like the rest of us.
So the cinematography is kind of feels like TV movie straight to DVD, but it works for this format.
There is some good cinematography in this movie, not across the board, but you can tell there are some moments where they like really planned out, like this is going to be the shot and it's going to be really beautiful, and we're going to make sure it works.
And that's what the movie does really well. These weird, almost artistic shots of like snow and them, contemplating, and then there's a bunch of weird little twists too in the movie that are played out really well. I really like it when they're just looking out the window at like this graveyard in the
it's crazy that the graveyard is just right there, and they
part of like the outdoor time is you get to walk through the graveyard of the people
who died around.
I didn't even think about that at all.
You guys' motivation to get better as soon as possible.
Exactly. Get the fuck out of there. We did. If
you don't get better, you end up in the graveyard.
That's your one road out of here.
The doctor's like, well, you know what happens if you don't get better? And he like looks out, and there's just a bunch of gravestones.
One is wide open.
There's a guy digging the grave. Like
there was an open grave. Why was there an open grave?
Because someone died. They have to
dig
the grave.
Right. Yeah, what's her name died.
We did the ward back in January, and I couldn't help but sit and think, like, is the ward the same ward that this movie takes place in, and the place is just horribly haunted with just disgusting violence and grossness.
But also there's haunted by the ward monster. There's one ward that's haunted by the dolls of Chucky and all the other haunted dolls. And then there's like a Freddy Krueger ward and a Jason ward. This is where they put all the psychopaths who believe in slasher villains.
Yeah, but I will say, like, bad B movie horror, like this movie, I definitely like better, and not just because Chucky. I think they didn't bog it down with too many characters, and also the ward has a really dumb twist at the end. If you haven't seen the ward, I won't spoil it for you, but it was all her the whole time. So that's a spoiler. At any rate, do you have anything else?
Did, yeah,
like pretty much just ruined it. Steve,
I'm not going to ruin the usual suspects for
you. What do you want to ask me?
Do you have anything else that you want to add to production, or do you want to move on to the body of it?
I was going to do some reading before, but then I had to edit the video because I forgot to do it, so I didn't get it on time. And I don't know a lot about the production of this, but I did know that it was done in Manitoba, which we've already covered, and obviously we've talked about Don Mancini every single time we've talked about Chucky. So
right.
Much you guys can go back and watch our other Chucky episodes. I mean, and we could talk about Fiona Dourif, but I think we'll probably just talk about her naturally throughout it. But
what do you think they did for fun in northern Manitoba while they were shooting this?
Yeah, when they were
digging holes around the building.
Yeah, that grave was there for the crew.
Yeah.
Yes, the Bride of Chunky.
Yeah, it is pronounced Chunky. We all know
that. Bride love Chunk.
Yeah. It's short for Charles.
Charles Reed Graves. Okay, so yeah, let's move on to the body of the episode, I guess.
Hell yeah.
The body of the episode.
Fun fact from Fangoria. This marks Alex Vincent's first full-length return to the franchise since Child's Play 2. So I cited it. It's also true. It's like you could just easily look that up. The film opens with Alex Barclay, played by Alex Vincent, now an adult, on a dinner date. His date abruptly leaves after finding about his connection to the Chucky murders.
No, she already knew.
She Googled him. She Googled him and then was like, went on the date with him and was like, I have a problem with this. Yeah. I'm out of here.
I just want to let you know that I just wanted to see what you looked like in person to go ugh, to your face.
I can't believe you I can't believe you went through the most traumatic experience that any person could ever go through a bunch of times. A whole bunch of times. But also the way she's like negging him about owning guns. She's like,
I think Don Mancini
you pervert.
I think Don Mancini has a little bit of a, he wants gun control. That's what that was a thread of this. He's like, yeah, I mean, I've got guns, but like they're in a safe, they're in a lockup. I thought that was interesting. And he talks. It's true.
It's not like a crazy thing to want.
But it's interesting that they added him kind of talk about that for a minute. You know what I mean? It stuck out to me.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to. It's supposed to stick out in the sense that like we're then going to get a scene of Andy where he has his guns in a beautiful cabinet full of amazing guns, and the guns are pointing at like a shield on the wall, like a bulletproof vest. That you're like, this guy doesn't just own guns; he displays them decoratively around his house. Yeah,
like the Doom guy in Doom Eternal is just like, oh, you're kind of in your hub right now.
Yeah. If that moment of him being like, it's not that I don't, want more screening and I don't advocate for, reform and proper controls and licensing. It was probably just because Don Mancini was like, fuck, he's going to look like a gun nut. We should probably make sure we have a moment where he doesn't say all this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're also in like a weird, like top of a building restaurant. That's always weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, what city are they in? And then he drives to his cabin in the woods.
I looked it up and I think it's in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah,
Winnipeg has a similar rotating restaurant to Toronto.
We knew it was Winnipeg. There's no buildings that high outside of Winnipeg and Manitoba.
Yeah. Was it in the rotating one? Maybe they filmed in the same place as On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
I was wrong. It was in Atlanta.
Oh,
I looked it up, and that part was from it.
The Manitoba of the South.
Yeah, I mean Manitoba and Atlanta almost sound like they could be the same, like an anagram for each other if you say it.
Yeah,
well, they are like sister states. Yeah.
Atlanta is the Manitoba of the North.
Yeah.
Nope, it said that wrong.
Right.
He's got a crazy gun locker in a safe.
I love this shit though. Because again, it's Andy. I don't think when I watched this, I realized it was the same actor as the kid from the original movies, which is a nice touch. But then as soon as he starts acting, you're like, oh yeah, he's a little rough around the edges. Like he hasn't been acting for a while.
Yeah,
there's a bit of a Jake Lloyd element to this. Yes,
I reached out to Alex Vincent on Instagram and I got hit with the auto reply of like, if you want to talk to me, come to a convention or go to my Patreon. And I was like,
yeah,
you could be on our
for
show.
a while there. We're like, there's a small chance that we could get some of these people to be on our show.
Yeah.
But then I learned a lot of celebrities just have either an auto reply or they just leave you on red. So I was,
I mean, nothing against him. Like, I think that the fact that he came back,
get paid, buddy.
Great. Yep.
And $100 to come on the show.
Those stop. You're like digging your own grave right now, Jason. Jesus.
Sorry.
Jason looks at the window and Madison's like,
shut up.
Yeah.
Chucky's hand comes out of the ground.
He was at least 400 of that $5 million budget.
Yeah. But I think he did an admirable job for somebody that was a child actor who I don't believe that he has done any acting since then, right? Like, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And it's nice. Like, it's a nice legacy-qually type thing to do that I kind of appreciate.
Without hitting you over the head on it.
They didn't have him in it too much either.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have him in him. They have it
like
him.
He wasn't
in
like the guy.
Yeah, it's like the most appropriate amount of time for him to be in it is how much he was in it. And also he does something that I'm like, because I couldn't really remember the entirety of the plot of this, but then he does something that's actually kind of smart. I'm like, oh, that is kind of a smart thing to do, but it doesn't play out in the way that I would like it to play out.
He keeps the original Chucky's head in a safe, mutilated. It's the original head because it's got the same scars, but he's got it. It's
the Chucky from the last movie. So at the end of the last movie, Chucky mails himself to Andy, and then when he pops out, he thinks he's gonna like, Andy, it's me, your old pal Chucky, but like Andy's ready and just blows his head off with a shotgun. I think they show a clip of it.
They show movie. That,
yeah. And then would have been a fine ending for Chucky, but then we get this weird, creepy thing where he's got Chucky's head in a vault on the wall behind his jersey from the third movie. Like the third movie, he went to that military school and he's got his sweatshirt. I'm like, why would you hang that up? Like that was also the most traumatic thing in that movie. Chucky replaces paintball guns with real guns, and a bunch of kids shoot each other to death. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want some some sort of painful memorabilia, you know, to be like, remember that time when all those kids shot each other in front of you?
It was like a little bit my fault.
Yeah.
That does kind of play into a bit of a thing for the rest of this movie without jumping ahead too far, but a lot of what these people's traumas go through in the hospital and what's his head's doing there is kind of, and I don't know if this is a legitimate form of therapy, but people taking kind of ownership of what's traumatized them by a lot of direct confrontation. Now, that's without knowing how legitimate any of that is, but that felt like to be a bit of a thing happening where, I mean, it was a bad doctor. We'll talk about that later, but that seemed to be an ongoing thing of people either being confronted by or actively confronting some of their past trauma.
Yeah, it seems like that was that doctor's whole thing, right? Is like, the way I get through to you is by making you redo the thing you did.
Yeah, the exposure therapy or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Or someone dies and he's like, well, let's play on this.
We don't know for sure that they're dead.
Everybody look directly at it until you feel feeling.
Doctor, he has no fault. Let's all get into this room and yell at each other about the crimes we've committed.
Yeah.
Say the crimes in detail
Everyone
when
climb
they
into the grave just to see what it's like.
Good sesh. Everyone write in your dream journals tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
And then Freddy appears out of the dream journal.
I love when people journal, bitch.
I thought it was hilarious that Andy now he lives in this like hilarious cabin with this fucking wall of guns and he smokes weed, and the movie kind of makes it seem like Andy was crazy the whole time, which I like. Obviously isn't Chucky, we see Chucky do Chucky stuff, but Chucky's like, yo, can I get a hit of that? And he gives him a toke and then he burns him with the joint. He burns it with the
burns it with a
blowtorch. Burns it with a blowtorch, right?
Chucky tries to do like a little bite at him. Just it gives us our first jump scare of the movie, which is like, yeah, let me hit that with you. And he like smokes on it, and he's like, when you're like, oh fuck,
classic Chucky.
Yeah, gives him the old Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. When I was watching that, I'm like, would that do anything to Chucky, or is he just doing it just to scare him? Because I'm like,
I think
does
Chucky
Charles
get
Lee
high?
Ray? But like, he doesn't have lungs, so it would just be coming out the bottom.
But I mean, wouldn't you even just be happy to pretend if you're just locked in a safe most of the time?
Like the skeleton from Last Unicorn.
Real oral fixation, and I've been jonesing in that fucking vault for a long time.
I think that's legitimate, Steve. I think that's what it is. And also, Charles Lee Ray was definitely smoking that 80s weed and getting up to all sorts of no good.
The weed in the 80s kind of blew, but I'll tell you, the flow is great. Dynamite.
And he's like, got dynamite in his hands.
Now it's so hydroponic that even I get a contact high. But yeah, we get opening credits. The opening credits kind of felt like a TV show, and I think that's in retrospect because I know it becomes that. But this movie definitely has that, like, it when
how do you guys feel about
streaming.
Like, the fact that he's clearly like been torturing Chucky forever? Like, he's got nails in his head, and like he's part of him is melted and burnt, and like
I don't think that there's a good people on both sides argument.
It makes me feel like Andy is also fucking nuts, right?
Andy's fucked for doing that.
I'm wondering about you.
Yeah.
Even to think. What do you guys think? Let me
what do you guys think
gauge
about that?
you guys before I say that I think it's fucked up.
But I mean, like, do you like? I don't really know what I meant by the question. But
I know,
I do. I know. But what I do mean is, like, how fucked up do you think Andy is that he's going on dates? And
then
he gets rejected. His immediate knee-jerk reaction is to go burn his dog.
Yeah,
I would say that he's justified in doing it, but it's not good for him to be doing it.
No,
but do you think that this is his coping mechanism for any time anything slightly bad happens to him in his life? Because he had a shitty date, and his response was,
I hope he doesn't do
Chucky's
the same thing to her.
Like, imagine he stubs his toe and he's like, "Fuck!" and he goes immediately to the vault. Like, starts punching Chucky in the
nail
face.
guns Chucky's face.
Yeah, because if you ever
good point. What did I do?
Because like if he ever misplaces the Chucky head, and then he has to come up with like a Wilson option to kind of satiate all that, and
dried husk of a pineapple.
The
most dangerous fruit. We know. We have all talked about it.
You have to buy like a boglin off of eBay and like have his kicks that way. But I thought it was like part of the setup and payoff for the movie was like, okay, this is going to come up later on, whether it here or in the show, and that's apt where like, you know, the whole staring to the abyss stares back into you. That like, which is good to see in a movie like this with a legacy series where there's consequences and what is the aftermath. Like you can't just say, oh, I threw a doll in the fire and the doll was haunted and killing everybody. Of course she was sent to the asylum and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That the society at large would not really believe outright in the supernatural would be an excuse for all this.
Even after like 30, even after like 37 murders over the course of like 40, not 40 years, but like almost 40 years.
Yeah.
People are still like, the doll did not kill anyone, you sick fuck. Like, we're not going to ever believe you. Like, you can't keep saying the doll did it. It was you.
That's what I was going to say too. And it's like the Freddy Krueger thing too, where they're like, we have all this documented stuff of kids going crazy and killing each other, or making it look like they killed themselves or killing, you know what I mean? And nobody in universe will believe that there's a killer.
But I mean,
doll,
because you can't imagine
what.
someone came to you and said, I've been a witness to 37 murders over the last 20 years, and they were all committed by a doll.
Do you guys
believe
do you guys think that more real murders have been blamed on Chucky than 37?
Maybe. Well, it was Chucky, I swear. Remember that news?
Like, no, but we talk about how insane you would think that they're crazy, but I bet it's happened plenty of times
in real life, like Chucky. Yeah, I
like
mean, it was
real
like
life. People have been like, oh, it was like or some Chucky like.
Well, there was that case of those girls that like tried to kill that one other girl because Slender Man, they thought it was Slender Man in the woods or whatever. It's like, that kind of stuff probably, I would assume probably at least one, maybe more. Probably
Chucky
more.
was just the Slender Man of the 80s.
I thought that was David Bowie.
That was David Bowie's nickname in high school, the Slender Man of the 80s.
So the movie picks up directly after the last one. Nica's institutionalized, played by Fiona Dourif.
Sorry, when I said high school, I meant he was high all the time. He was schooling people and being high.
Way to realize how old he is.
She's been transferred from like a maximum security asylum on good behavior to this like medium security mental facility where her bed is just in the middle of like a cafeteria. It's a huge room with other beds,
and they also seem to shock her.
Yeah. Listen, those limbs are gonna go flipping somewhere. We're gonna make sure we can back up.
Some of them anyway.
Yeah.
I like how they're. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it's always funny whenever they do the showing of like when someone's feet can't move or anything like that. Like, see, and they poke and make her bleed, and it's just like, how far will you be willing to go to prove that somebody can't walk? See, like I'm gonna be, and he's like they're like gnawing on her feet. See, she doesn't feel a thing.
If he like, I'd be like, I believed you. You didn't have to do that. It's right here on her chart.
They're all out of kids pop in the machine. There, are you sure? You know, like he has to drag him over there. Doesn't ever believes him.
Or like another doctor is walking by and says, like, I told you to stop poking the fucking patients with pins. They still bleed.
How do I know who are walkers and who are not? Yeah.
They have Nica convinced also that she did it as part of her
that's so sad
therapy, which is pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so bad about how much better she felt about it with the lie.
Yeah, and it's
like it seems like it would have been better for her to just be like, "Oh, I guess I did do it, and now I have to learn to figure for myself," instead of there's a doll trying to kill me now.
It goes to show that like you can convince people of anything, even if the truth is, and sometimes if the truth is too difficult, then
that also goes to show how far-fetched why he can get away with it for so long, to the point where
Chucky does that.
He see it happen and still eventually be like, actually you're right, that is crazy.
One of his main things is he frames people to trick them, because obviously a doll can't do it, but also he puts you in this position that makes it definitely seem like you did it. And he does that throughout this movie, but he's been doing this for 35 years at this point.
His first MO was like, I'm gonna make him look like they killed themselves, and then he's like, That's no fun though. I don't get to beat
Yeah.
somebody to death with a yardstick. yeah.
Well,
Right,
actually,
golf club.
but at this point in the movie, though, that's where I was thinking, oh, this is where the cult comes in. So, given the title, I was actually writing a whole movie in my head before actually watching it, where I thought what it was going to be was the people running the psychiatric hospital were trying to find a way to draw out Chucky because they worship Chucky, and it's a secret cult worshiping Chucky, and they wanted to make use of his supernatural abilities. I thought that's what it was going to be about.
I think an expanded story of this movie actually ends up there, and I wonder if the show touches on this at all, because I haven't made it that far in the show.
I gotta cut you both off. I feel like if
that
people
sounds
started
like the cult in the Michael Myers cult.
Yeah, that is what that is. Yeah, they use him as like a weapon.
Mhm.
But I feel like if people started worshiping Chucky like a cult, he'd be like, no. That's too weird. I don't like this.
Well, yeah, and then the natural turn in the movie is that like they can't control this guy, and he ends up killing them as well.
Yeah. I remember when I first heard about it, I thought, because I knew that it was set in a mental institution, that he was going to basically like not imprint himself in the way that he does literally with like his transfer power, but he was going to convince all these people to like start murdering each other.
Yeah, I thought they were going to worship him.
I thought it was going to be like a sort of a funhouse massacre type situation where it's like a bunch of people are loose in a insane asylum killing each other and the doctors and all that. I thought it was going to be more of like a classic slasher, but this movie has so much weird shit going on. Like, it's not. It's totally not. It's like its own sort of. I wouldn't go as far as to say unique, but I would go as far as to say like it's completely different from what I thought it was going to be, and it has.
Mm-hmm.
It puts Chucky in almost like dropping him into like a different style movie, and he's like, I'm here now. Let's do it. Like, yep. Which I think is Chucky is the perfect type of character for that. You could kind of place him into any movie that exists in a genre or sort of a cliche.
You can
scenario.
tweak things around him very easily.
Exactly. It's like a reboot or something, like they always put the characters of Reboot into like a new game in every episode. It's like Chucky could do that for any movie.
I think there's a horror game in one of the Reboot episodes, in fact. Like a haunted house.
It's called The Fun House. Dun, 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 dun. Remember that episode?
I do. Now that you we are hell. Is that what that's from? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow, you just blew my mind a little bit.
We are helping by making your boots go faster.
And his boots go backwards.
Yeah. When she arrives, she meets that orderly. He's like kind of nice to her, but then he plays it off like, I can't be nice to you. Then we meet kind of the cast of characters for the movie when she goes into like the common area. First, we meet Angela, who believes she's dead. They have a funny encounter. We're introduced to Malcolm, which he's got a dissociative identity disorder where they call him multiple Malcolm, which he hates. It kind of triggers him. There's Claire. I didn't know this from the movie, but in my notes it says she's a pyromaniac. I didn't pick this up. And then Madeline, she smothered her own infant child, and as we'll find out when she sees Chucky, she's like, "That's my baby," which is a classic insane asylum trope. I feel like I've seen that in a lot of these kinds of movies.
It's like a classic crazy woman trope,
right?
Yeah. She's crazy because she thinks she has a baby, and you're like, oh god, not again. Let's focus on the arsonist, shall we? Who has the best death? I will say she has the coolest death in the whole movie. Anyway, we have to focus on the gay orderly first.
Yes.
What a nice man.
He gives her some gum,
juicy fruit.
When she goes into the common area, she's also like, the orderly gave me this gum.
Wasn't that your other nickname in high school?
Yeah,
juicy fruit.
Yeah. I mean, that's what
careful where you use the yeah, careful where you use the emphasis.
Hey, juicy fruit, how's it going over there?
You want to play Magic the Gathering?
I was like, why do you guys keep calling me juicy fruit?
There's also when we meet Malcolm, he pops up. We think his name's Michael, which we find out in a few minutes that he thinks that he's literally Michael Phelps. He's a bit of a pervert because he's like, yeah, you got a thing for redheads, which I think is like a bit of a foreshadow. because
because they fuck like 3 seconds later.
Well, they fuck like 3 seconds later. That's a
not
foreshadowing.
That's just
of him becoming Charles Lee Ray at one point. And it's, we'll talk about that when we get to it. And but
he
I thought he was just making explicit reference to Chucky, but that's an interesting angle.
I think that his DID is broken. That's not how I don't think that's how it works, but he only becomes people that he's read about, I guess, is kind of the idea, where like he adopts a personality, but like he's not really doing impersonations of the people that he's becoming, except
just
for
is
Charles Lee Ray a little bit.
Yeah. They trade they trade a cigarette for some gum, and then we get a weird sex scene that is just like this movie has this dreamlike quality to it where things happen and you're like, is that really happening, or is
that how your dreams, Jason, work? You'll be having a conversation with a woman, and then a second later you're banging.
You're having sex with her in her wheelchair.
I'm married, okay?
That
I can't
mean
say either way.
Dreams don't count. Dreams don't count.
It's not cheating if it's a dream. And then Freddy's like,
Freddie
tell me
shows
about
up.
it.
Stop banging me. I'm trying to kill you.
Jason,
why am I in a wheelchair?
Yeah, Jason's banging Freddy while he's in a wheelchair, and he's trying to kill her. Okay, I don't like any of this.
Freddy got fingers.
Okay, that's Chucky. You're Chucky now.
Yeah,
that was good.
I think that it is very tropey and cliche, the characters that they've decided to populate this insane asylum with, but I think that that's the idea behind the movie itself. It's very kind of in all ways like not trying to break new grounds here. It's like, let's just throw shit that they know at them and not overcomplicate things and not get too deep with all these characters that we're gonna one by one murder off fairly
It's a
quickly,
little similar to the Friday the 13th where they go to the home with all the kids and they're the most stereotyped kids ever, because we don't really need to have anybody that's super different. We don't have, we got the guy with multiple personalities, we got the pyromaniac, we got the girl who thinks that inanimate objects are
in a lot of ways
kid,
this movie is sort of like they're following the same formula that they followed in the movie previous to this, except rather than it being like a haunted house movie with a haunted doll killing everybody, it's the sort of like they're trapped in a prison and they get killed one by one, and we can do the same thing, but we can have different interesting personalities. I think one of the main like fall through points of this movie for me is that like none of the side characters are in any way interesting at all. Like I'm only interested in Chucky, Andy, and Fiona Dourif. Like I don't
even
give a
the
shit
nurse
about anybody else.
Even the nurse character is just like a hot babe for some reason, just there to get murdered. as
She's
a
wearing
scream
like
queen.
a Halloween costume nurse outfit.
Right? I couldn't believe that.
She's not wearing a real nurse costume. She's wearing a costume that you would buy from a fucking Party City or whatever. Like,
well, they went to both Walmarts in Manitoba, and that's what they could get.
That's all they had. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's not like a nurse's scrubs. Yeah, like it would be in the real world.
Yeah, the adjective "sexy" is definitely in the description of that product. It's definitely
written on the bag. They took
the
costume out of.
But they had a good amount of budget, so they like at least zhuzhed up the costume a little bit to make it not as floppy. They like put some wires in it to make it stand up.
I've never seen a nurse wear that hat.
That's because they don't
wear.
Yeah, like not since the 40s, but
not since like Looney Tunes era.
Not since Korea.
Yeah.
Not since Hello Nurse.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get the group therapy session. They're all freaked out by Nica. She tries to like explain, and basically, okay. So I don't have any more notes for the group therapy session. The next thing I have is Chucky appearing and talking to the old lady.
Wait,
so
at the group therapy session? Okay. So you don't have any
was
notes?
there any? Nika's psychiatrist introduces.
I mean, I want to talk
therapy
about it because
doll.
it's fucking wild. Like this is the craziest thing I've ever. It starts with Nika's in the middle of the room with all of them circling her, like
Which
she's
is a lot.
standing in the circle, and it's not like she can even turn around to look at people because she's in a fucking wheelchair. Like she has to like She wants to fucking talk to people. Yeah.
I think she has a little more control of that. That was the best squeak I've ever heard.
Like how?
Oh no, sorry. I thought we were later. I have notes about this, but yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And what's her name? Is her name Rose? The woman who is like
Angela.
Angela. She's like extremely aggressive, and she's basically like, "Why'd you kill him? Why the fuck did you kill him?" And then
Claire. That's Claire. Sorry,
I said Rose, right? Claire and Rose are both Resident Evil names. Am I right about that? No.
Sounds Resident Evil-y. Yeah.
Angela's the old lady. Claire's the Asian lady, and Madeline is the killed her baby lady.
She's the baby lady. Okay.
The baby lady.
I think you were thinking of Claire, and you were thinking of Leon Kennedy, not Rose.
Yeah.
Right. True. That's exactly what I was thinking. No, I think I was thinking of Rose, like, is the name of the little construct in the Resident Evil movie, the hologram girl. I think her name is Rose.
So the Red Queen.
The Red Queen, yeah. So what was I saying before we had to completely gut my brain before
Claire is yelling that
I remember I went like,
why'd you do it? Why'd you do it?
Yeah, Nica, you killed these people. There's no such thing as Chucky dolls. You did this.
She's trying to get she's trying to get her to admit to why she did it, or like, and then she basically says like, I was pathologically jealous of my sister to the point that I wanted her daughter to be my daughter, so I murdered her, and now my sister's daughter is never to be seen again. I hope she's doing okay. But within the sequence, fuck boy in the corner, I think he's still in the persona he was in. Who was he supposed to be when he fucked?
Michael Phelps, we find out. He says
the swimmer Michael Phelps.
Michael.
No, that's when we meet him again. He's Michael. Or no, that was Michael.
I think in the beginning, maybe I thought he was just him.
He introduces himself as Michael, and then the revelation is that he thinks he's Michael Phelps, and then through the rest of the movie, when he says a new name, we get that's the clue.
The second time,
my name's Charles. Don't call me Chucky.
The second time he's like, "Yeah, you were talking to Michael before. He's in the pool right now." And she's like, "Oh, Michael Phelps. Okay.
Michael Phelps.
What the fuck?" And then he turns into Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm like, "Listen, man,
I hacked in."
Zuckerberg has a very distinctive way of speaking. Like, I would really like to imagine he like honed in on that impression. That would be great. I don't understand what you mean, but we're making some ribs. Baby Ruth. Sweet baby Ruth.
Yeah.
So
that was pretty good.
They do.
He's dismantling our democracy.
I know, he's such a clown, right?
And we're talking about him on his platform right now, but he can't.
Sure he owns this.
He can't tell us that we can't because there's no fact checking anymore on Facebook.
Yeah.
Fact checking is not cool. I think. I'm pretty sure people tell me it's not cool. I think
we're all going into meta and eating.
So
sweet baby
in the Cult of Chucky, I was a starring role. And she's talking about, she's trying to get her to admit to what her crimes or whatever. And then he brings up, this is where I track that she was an arsonist, or at least she killed people in a fire. Because he's like, what about that fire you started? And she's like, you always bring that up. And I'm like, well, it sounds like you always bring up everybody's first time when they show up. Like,
how dare she?
Yeah. If I'm going to be spending time with you, then I want to know why you did it. And it's like, bitch, you're in a fucking hospital. Like, for crimes you committed. Like, everybody in here is going to be committing crimes. Why don't you chill? But I guess they need the aggressive caricature. And I do kind of really, I tip my hat to the movie for putting that to rest very quickly. Because like when she goes to throw Chucky out, not too long after this shit goes down, and almost immediately is like, I believe her. I believe her. This fucking doll bit me.
Yeah. The thing that's crazy here too is, when you said aggressive, I thought you were talking about the old lady, because the old lady is like, he called me on the phone. He said he's coming right to Nica, and Nica's like going through all of this, which I thought
the
was
best part
insane.
about that is that it's true. It's fucking true.
He literally did that.
Find out. That's why I thought we were further in the movie.
It's my favorite line of the whole movie, which is potty mouth Chucky when he says like,
wait a minute, aren't you this crazy bitch I talked to on the phone last night? She's like, yeah. And he's like, oh God, I'll be back. I'm gonna kill you in a couple minutes. I got
put a bit in this. I'll be back.
Yeah.
That's so funny because I almost cut that scene out to play, and then I couldn't find what I wanted from it. So
I've seen that one. I've seen that scene on I think on TikTok and stuff a couple times over the years of just like, this is why Chucky is hilarious. And it's like,
yeah,
this is the kind of stuff that like Chucky, a haunted doll interacting with somebody who's crazy and who he's also a psychopathic murderer, calling somebody insane is fun.
Yeah.
Just the entire idea of it is so funny to me.
Well, Dr. Foley in this too, as we kind of mentioned, he tries to do exposure therapy by pulling out a buddy doll,
by pulling his penis out in front of
him. But the doll says, "I'm Chucky. Want to be friends or whatever." And it's like, well, why does it say Chucky? And then he's like, "Well, there is a 10%. There were so many Chucky dolls made, and they all had different names.
Mm-hmm.
There's a high probability that one of them will say the name Chucky because that was one of the names." And then also,
actually, it was a very low probability.
2%. It was 2%.
Yeah,
I sought out a particular one that said Chucky just for this exact exposure.
He said, "I paid for a Chucky."
Yeah, I paid, and he probably paid a lot of money to some creep who has
some pervert that has this. Yeah.
Which Nica pretends to not.
I got to assume at some point that's addressed in the show because I have seen clips of the later seasons of the show. I haven't watched all of it, but like, there's a moment where I'm like, they find like a Chucky doll collector at some point, right, in this show, because like there's a bunch of Chucky dolls.
Mm-hmm. Even Child's Play 2, the doll in that when they find him comes from a collector or something. I feel like even back then, I thought that when it arrives at that house.
Mm-hmm.
It had some sort of like, how did this doll get here? And it was from a collector or something. And there's
you're testing my Chucky. You're checking me on my Chucky. I only remember at the end of Child's Play 2, it's in a Chucky doll factory, and he comes out and goes, "Oh!" He's like a crazy melted monster.
I think Child's Play 2 has the worst death, like the most like affected me death in the whole shit. When the guy falls backwards off the stairs in the basement.
Oh, I totally fucked up.
Yeah.
But also Chucky at the end looks like Quato from like when he's all melted. Yeah.
We all have Quatos. It's a universe where we all have our own Quato.
I mean, it's really hard when you watch this much Chucky to watch Total Recall and have the guy be like, and then him like, and I'm like, that's just Chucky in your chest. This guy's just got a Chucky chest.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
so
cranking a Chucky.
So Madeline wants the buddy doll as her baby, and we find her baby's dead. Claire wants to stop the girl from doing that, and also mad at Nica for indulging the whole situation. And then gets the old poison death threat from Nica. She threatens to poison her in this. So it's like Nica didn't really do the things that she's accused of, but she's also been driven insane by being in an asylum, in the maximum security asylum for 4 years.
And she's been taught to accept the fact that she did poison someone.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say is like, she's probably had this information drilled into her brain so hard that she knows exactly what the poison does, exactly how much is needed to kill somebody, because people were probably interrogating her over and over being like, you took the 18 milligrams of powder and put it into the chili, didn't you? Didn't you, Nica? And she's like, I didn't. It was Chucky. Chucky doesn't exist. Now I'm going to hypnotize you, and if you wake up sore tomorrow, it wasn't anything weird.
Here's a fun fact from the website Bloody Disgusting, which is a website that is like Fangoria. Adam Hurtig, who plays
Jason's
Malcolm.
Nickname in high school, Bloody Disgusting.
It's not incorrect.
I better claim one quick
people will be
before I
like,
get
hey,
stuck with
bloody
one like
disgusting. Jason went to school in London, England.
Malcolm was previously played a police officer in Curse of Chucky. Apparently, I don't remember him, but Did the events?
Yeah.
Did the events of that movie make him go insane and end up in this asylum? And that's where
it might
as
just
fans
be.
we're just supposed to, or is
It's
it just
very
an
possible him and Don Mancini were like fucking or something.
I was going to say
that's very possible.
I mean, like, am I wrong?
Or friends or whatever.
Or
just
friends.
Yeah, just could be friends. Yeah.
Or just how many actors are there in Winnipeg right now?
Yeah.
I assume a Star Trek level of stunt casting.
Yeah,
which
like,
I don't have an issue with. Like,
no.
I kind of like that sometimes. Unless it's James Bond, where they cast a character who's a main character, and then he shows up again as a main character again as a totally different character, which we talked about last month.
That happened in X-Files.
Well, X-Files was it's kind of a Star Trek where they
Krychek was in
recycled.
an earlier episode than Krychek the character was introduced.
I know the episode. Yeah,
he's a bartender, and the
gender bender one, where it's like the Amish aliens that change sexes. Yeah.
Anyway, do that in professional wrestling.
When I watched it the second time, I'm like, why is Krychek there?
I mean, they do it in TV. They do it a lot because TV you have to fill up so much. Like, think about Tuvok. The guy who played Tuvok was like 20 Star Trek characters.
True. Tim Russ, all sorts of stuff.
They do for Krychek. Professional wrestling as well, where when you're a young up and comer, you'll be like a security guard who come out and be like a wrestler's lawyer, and then like fast forward 10 years, you're the champion, and somebody goes back and they're like, why were you the lawyer for this Russian guy?
Have they ever done a character who was a lawyer and then like an explosion happens and they come back as like the burnt lawyer? Like,
no, but that's my new gimmick.
The burning fist of justice.
You burned me, and
now
I will burn this stadium to the ground.
That's kind of Chucky.
He's got the accent now.
Yeah,
he was burned into him.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, they have that.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Actually, Worldmind makes a good point. Joe Hendry, who's like a big star now, was he literally played a lawyer in a segment, and Joe Hendry was the lawyer I'm talking about. I think that's hilarious. Thank you, Worldmind. Tag the turnbuckle.
Is Joe Hendry his wrestling name?
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Is Hendry anyone's
That's
name?
yes.
Is that a real name?
That sounds. Yeah, it sounds like you misspelt a name. Yeah.
That's like the Chunky to Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to find out what the Chunky to Tim is, but anyway.
You take a bite of a chocolate bar and you're like, oh, this is disgusting. And you like look at it and it says, oh, Hendry on it. You're like, what is this?
What the fuck is chocolate?
Oh my god.
This chocolate bar, it tastes bad. Oh, it's an O Hendry.
Oh, Hendry. That would be a good shirt for Joe Hendry.
Or no, it's called an Old Hendry.
Old Hendry.
Oh, I've been eating them so long I can't even taste the difference in the peanuts.
Oh man, give me chocolate.
Yeah.
Good gosh. Listen, do you guys want to hear a crazy fact? Well, it's not really a fact. It happened right in this movie. Jennifer Tilly shows up as Tiffany Valentine from the previous films. The last time we saw her. So I don't know if they touch on this on the show, but at the end of Seed of Chucky, it's heavily implied that she has 2 children that are humans.
Yes.
Right?
They come back in the TV show.
Okay.
Here's a fun fact. Jennifer Tilly is 59 when they show this.
Yeah. She looks great. Sorry, Chucky.
No, she does, but yeah, that was like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I
aged quite gracefully.
Jennifer Tilly, also a gay icon. Love her so much. And I also love that she has absolutely no reservations about coming back for this shit because she also loves it. Like every time they call her, she's like,
"Yeah, I'll fucking do this shit."
Let me find my smokes.
As a character from Drawn Together.
I'll work for a carton of smokes and some sandwiches a day. And I get to keep my wardrobe.
Yeah.
Not your best not your best impression, but I got it as
Yeah.
though it was a great impression.
Well, how am I
So,
supposed to do a proper Jennifer Tilly? I
Yeah,
can't
that's
do that
tough.
through one of your voice changers for Darth Theorist.
But I mean, absolutely no disrespect for her because she like I've loved her since I was a kid, and I still love her, and I love the fact that she enjoys being part of Chucky lore, and not just like as Tiffany Valentine, but also as Jennifer Tilly. Like Jennifer Tilly is a character in Chucky, which I think is so endlessly funny. Like that her real life persona is part of this world.
I don't know if it's here or if it's later.
Also, it means that canonically in this movie, Redman was murdered by fucking Chucky.
Exactly.
He got his guts pulled out at a dinner party.
I don't know if it's this scene or a scene later with her. They're like, "Are you Jennifer Tilly or Tiffany Valentine?" She's like, "I don't know."
She says that herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this scene. Fiona Dourif says like, "Has anyone ever told you that you look exactly like Jennifer Tilly?" And she's like,
Yeah. Every single fucking day of my life, actually.
As she's sharpening her fingernails, like, and it sounds like she's sharpening a fucking samurai sword. Like as they're walking, it's like shing, shing.
Berserker barrage.
Yeah, so good.
It turns out that she had been the guardian of the niece from the previous film, and this niece passed away. I think that she fucking click-clacked her, but she says that the niece died of a broken heart, and then she whips out a second.
Is that like the most needless killing of a character ever?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Also, like it's
like she wasn't even. It's not even like they had to kill her off. She could have just not been in it.
Yeah,
I think it was
like Newt levels.
Yeah, they were like
they neutered her, dude.
Yeah, they neutered her, dude. They gave her the old. They neutered her.
I think Newt dude is what they called me in high school.
This movie's got a neuter in it.
Excuse me.
Can't believe it. Yeah, and it is completely unnecessary, but it's also like a thing where she shows up again in a dream as well, which is strange.
Mm-hmm.
For like just like a flash. And
like
so
Jennifer really never needed to have adopted her. That's
also that thing that Worldmind just said, the Knights Who Say niece. When you said she was the guardian of niece, because you didn't say of the niece, you said guardian of niece, and I was like, what the fuck is guardian of niece? Like I was picturing like some guy wrapped in like this weird like golden sheep's wool, like the guardian of niece.
Yeah, well, there's a place.
You shall never take Nice.
Yeah. There is a place in France called Nice. Yeah,
the niece is mine to protect. Yeah. What the heck?
Also, for those playing at home, there are now 2 Chucky dolls introduced into this film, including a third Chucky doll if you include the decapitated head of Chucky. Neuters.
We do count that one. But we get Tiffany Valentine, but she's just introduced as Valentine. Mrs. Valentine, I wish you had told me. She's like,
she's fucking dead.
What?
Yeah, she died of a broken heart.
I have a note. I have a note here in my notes that says, "This is going to seem so crazy to Alex and Tim. Ask their thoughts on this bizarre reveal."
Well, there's a lot of lore and previous stuff that like I think I saw a seed of Chucky from like at a get together and a lot of things happening. So like I didn't absorb it. But just knew that Jennifer Tilly's been attached to the hip to this franchise for a long time. Kind of to your point, Alex, about like why, as far as this in this movie, in this contained story, what changes in the stakes for what's her name?
Nica.
Nica, thank you. What changes in the stakes for Nica exactly? I don't quite know, and perhaps having seen the other movies more closely would inform that a little better. But beyond that, it just more or less tied off that, and just also, as far as I was concerned, like, okay, so she's involved. Jennifer Tilly's character is involved with this now, so that's all that was informed to me was just like, so we know that this is going to come back again. I'm guessing this is not going to be the only time. Like while she's in Winnipeg, they're going to get at least 2 to 3 scenes out of her in this movie. Before she goes
freezing up here. How many more times do you mean an exterior shot?
Yeah. So yeah, they're gonna get their money's worth out of Jennifer Tilly. So I figured as much when they showed that. Like, seldom in this movie did they bring up something without having payoff later on, outside of that little element with the niece. So that was the most I thought of that.
Okay.
I think Alex is correct where it's like they are just nuding her. Like they just need to get rid of her as a thing that exists. But
yeah, I guess maybe to make it so that but is like anyone going to be like, well, why isn't the niece there? Like, because they're in the fucking mental institution.
Yeah. So I think personally, like the movie it's not that deep, bro. But like at the same time, I'm like, it is kind of, because if she's dead, if the niece is dead, then Nica literally has no more connection to the outside world at all, and no hope of ever becoming reconciled with the outside world. So there is a moment there to have wiggle room for Chucky to infiltrate and be like, you want to kill?
But now, if I think about it from the perspective of someone who wants to continue the narrative, with how it ends, I would think you'd almost want the niece out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is true, but I think in the sense that she now feels completely
hopeless.
Cut off, right?
Yeah,
like there's nothing. All she
Yeah.
sees is an Arctic tundra, and there's nothing beyond it. It's just that. If she goes outside, she's dead.
Yeah.
So I think it was just meant
Manitoba.
Yeah, it was meant to make her. It was meant to make not just the actor be in Manitoba, but the character be in Manitoba as well. But yeah, it also the main point of the movie, I think Tim is right, is just to introduce Jennifer Tilly and just to introduce a secondary Chucky doll as a plot point.
Yeah.
And to have all the Chucky fuckers out there to be like,
Oh, my boner is back. Look at all the things I know. They're here for me.
I guess a group of Chuckies would be a chuckle.
Yeah. All right, chucklers.
The chuckles of Chucky.
Yeah.
A chunk of Chuckys.
A chunk of Chuckys.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are all good.
Very good.
So the dead baby girl Madeline, and the doctor walk by the 2 dolls. We get the creepy music as the 2 dolls pass in the night. I thought that was great. And we sort of get the sequence now where Chucky is on his first prowl. He walks up to a like a drawer.
A sharps.
That says sharps on it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. How do you guys feel about this beginning of seeing Chucky sort of start to do his thing? I'm stalling for time because I have a clip that I want to play.
Yeah. I mean, this is all classic Chucky shit, just him scurrying around and like ding.
Is he gonna kill the
ding,
guy?
Like
And
the
he just
like
doesn't-
the shitty those old like shitty tiny pianos for children or whatever.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that music playing. I'm
The
like,
cat
yeah,
running across the piano sound.
Yeah.
It's been in Chucky since the beginning, and I fucking love it. It's so good. Not to pull off of this movie, but like the Bear Grylls soundtrack from the Child's Play remake is actually fucking stellar. If you ever want some fun horror music to listen to or use in like a D&D campaign or something, it's great. But the music in this is pretty good too. And I, like it sets the tone for like mischievous doll murder.
Yeah.
Very well. It sets the stage.
And one thing I'll say, and not just for the introduction of Chucky here, but for pretty well the rest of the movie, and this what really kind of kept me engaged for the rest of it was how really, really well done the Chucky effects were. That between whatever they did practically and then digitally after the fact, it for like you look at this and you think this is $5 million. They managed to it looks good.
It looks
Like,
real the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's so many, $500 million movies that look like complete trash on the screen.
Yeah.
And you look at this and like, all things considered, they got everything out of this for $5 million.
I think that's one of Mancini's things, though, is that he's like, he 100% all the way is like, we must, where we can use a practical doll, we need a practical doll. If we're not going to CG unless we absolutely need to.
It's also it's important to do it right when he is the main character, really.
Yeah.
And like, it's one of those things where like you can tell when it's sort of a Muppet Show moment where he's like, all right, so, and like he's kind of moving a little bit weird or whatever, but like you don't mind, you don't care.
No, I like
it's
that
a real
personally,
puppet talking.
Like
Yeah.
He is a doll.
Yeah.
He does meet the old lady here, and I have a kind of a long clip that I just want to play because I, like Steve, think that this is not only showcases Chucky in his most like primordial form, but it's one of the funniest moments in the movie, in my opinion. So I'm just going to let this play out. It's about a minute long. So here we go.
It's going to be this.
Just wanted to say, wow. Where's Nica?
Last door on the right. You can see me.
Yeah, I can see you.
Don't be afraid.
What?
I'm not going to hurt you.
You fucking with me?
No, I'm not. Tell you the truth, I'm happy to have the company, even if you weren't real.
Okay. Let me explain something to you. I am a vintage, mass-marketed children's toy from the 80s. Standing right in front of you, holding a very sharp scalpel.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
I'm a schizophrenic. I see things.
Aren't you the crazy bitch I talked to last night on the phone?
Sometimes I hear things too.
Okay, lady. You know what? You're next. I'm gonna be right back. Jesus. Fucking cuckoo's nest.
Bye.
Jesus fucking
I
cuckoo's
just
nest.
love that. Yeah, I like that he is like, fuck the heck. What did I walk into here?
Like a plumber on the job, but that's cussing in between going one place to the other, carrying around a toolbox. Yeah,
being like she knows how to fix these fucking pipes on her own. Why'd she even call me?
I'm not paid enough for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that he's like, you're next. Alex, right before I went to that clip, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Do you remember?
Oh, I was just going to say, are you going to play the Spanish? The Spanish.
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deje de estar viendo memes, pendejo.
¡A la verga, me vale verga, perro! ¡Y cállate a la verga, hija de su puta madre, a la verga! ¡La verga, verga!
I got a puta madre there.
You know that like the Batman, like the
yeah.
That's what that reminds me of too.
That a little bit.
Macaron, chacaron.
Yeah.
A little like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Other languages are a hoot.
Oh my goodness.
Racism.
I got a content strike on.
Are you cheering for racism?
I got
a content strike on Facebook for that, so I'll just remove that. But that's fine. We're still here.
Oh, like the long scene?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, no, it was the Spanish one.
Yeah,
very litigious.
You should have got me to try and voice over it to see how much I.
Yeah, the Spanish language is strictly copywritten.
Yeah, I'm here to audition for Spanish Chucky.
Yeah.
Am I in the right place? I'm the only one here.
Yeah.
I only got a copyright strike on one of the Facebooks that's up. My Facebook still has it playing, so who knows what Mark Zuckerberg's up to behind the scenes. I think that you cannot play this on multiple screens of our our Facebook meta instances.
Yeah.
So,
For our Spanish
I
audience, that's
am getting a notification here that you are trying to watch Chucky, the Cult of Chucky on Facebook. You can't do
he's
that.
in a bunker in Hawaii, and a red light goes off, and it shows copyright, and it shows us playing that. He's like, sweet baby rays! He runs to a computer and just presses the button.
That's a superhero war cry.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Instead of like sweet.
Hello, how's it going, bodacious dudes? So
He's got the. Remember when he was surfing that time, and he's got the SPF 50 all over his face. He just has that on.
Oh, and then the.
I'm drinking from my glass.
Drinking water. Every living person needs to drink water.
Drinking your human water.
Drinking your human water. So Chucky,
everybody
after
is
that's
human, and I was human. I mean, I am
human. That's a real thing that he said by accident. So that's fucking weird too. But he goes into after that scene plays, he goes into Nica's room, and he finds that the wheelchair that she has a little spike missing, a little piece missing from a spoke. She sees that she has tried to kill herself, obviously because she's like very in her emotions about killing all these people. And he says,
she's been driven crazy by people telling her that she's crazy, but she's not crazy, and so that's enough to drive somebody to slit their wrist. I think so.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say. But Chucky's like, not on my watch. And she wakes up.
Sews her up somehow. Apparently, he's like a medical doctor as well. Like, I know exactly what that means. Hold on.
Where to get it. And yeah.
And not so fast is written in the blood when she wakes up, which
It'd be funny if it was sewed up with like the shoelace from his shoe, like a good guy doll shoelace.
That'd be great, actually.
That's actually very horror. Like that's dark. That's the darkest thing I've ever heard for this movie. As the orderly comes in, it's clearly written in the blood. She throws a pillow down to cover it up, and
what does it say? Not so fast.
Not so fast. And it turns out though that Chucky did in fact go back to the room, and he basically does the same thing in the other room where it makes it seem like she killed herself with the piece from the wheelchair. And
but then he writes Chucky did it in the blood. Like what the?
Yeah,
he's really trying to show some discontent in this. Mental institution.
Yeah.
And we get this weird thing on a screen where there's videotape of Andy showing the mutilated head to Dr. Foley, and he's like,
so
"Great,
weird.
great kid."
And like he watches it at home to like watch his own embarrassment, I guess. Like
yeah.
And it looks like it's on YouTube. He put it on YouTube.
What do you guys think?
Check out this dork and his stupid little doll head. Yeah.
Cuts to him and he's saying that.
Took my doll head to a psychiatric institution. Didn't believe me. Told me it was CGI. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would have that terrible auto voiceover where, bro, didn't believe me. Yeah.
Then people be like trolling the comments and be like, I found a link to another doctor who might believe you, and then you click on it and be like,
that's the new Rickroll.
Yeah. Incredible. The people think that Nica did the murder. Michael Phelps talks about the Occam's razor, which is, of course, the simplest thing is probably what did it.
Which is, of course, a thing that is in movies and people know it, so we had to put it in this movie so that people could just know it again.
Now we have to learn Occam's razor again.
If there's one thing I hate in movies, it's when somebody like says a philosophical debate structure or construct and then turns to the camera and then explains what it is and then explains how it connects to the situation that you're in. It's one of those things that I'm like, no matter how highly regarded the movie is, when they do it, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, do it yourself. Do it yourself.
There was a
Christopher
tag-
Nolan. I'm looking at
there
you,
was a
Interstellar.
There was a tag. Oh my god! There was a tag team in wrestling for a while called the Authors of Pain, and the two wrestlers' name they were like big jacked guys who are obviously going to murder your face, and their names were Occam and Razor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Turned out they were murderers, and they
They
were in
suck.
plain view all along.
Yeah, it was the simplest thing. It was the simplest thing that you thought. If they were out there murdering people in the ring, they were definitely. No, they were just kind of shitty and couldn't talk.
And they were really simple, both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, there are two Chuckys in the room right now when this happens, which I thought was an interesting little thing. And
I do like that for a beat of the movie, you're not sure which Chucky is which, but you're also like kind of aware that the Chucky that's there is a murderer, but you don't know it. It's like it's one of those things where you're like, oh, it's gonna do a switch. But I do like then the reveal is like, no, they're both Chucky. And you're like, oh,
yeah, there's
that's
no
cool.
separation.
Yeah, which is like a good way to kind of to trample on that trope. I don't know if it's as impactful as it should have been though. Like it doesn't feel like a huge revelation while you're watching the movie. Like, oh wow, they're both him. That's crazy.
But they do test the theory that the doll is alive, and this is where we get kind of a gross way to do the test, and they burn Chucky's hand, and it
is
melts
gross, though,
in
right?
a weird
Like
way. Yeah,
which is like, I usually don't get grossed out by like melting plastic, but for some reason it did feel.
but like,
gross.
isn't melting we know because Chucky has like
innards.
He can feel pain. Yeah,
innards
he
and-
can definitely
yeah.
feel pain.
And the
I
way that
was-
it melts almost looks like melting skin too. So I was really like, ugh.
Why the fuck do you know what melting skin looks like, you sick fuck?
Oh, he's gone. He left.
He's
I've
not
seen-
ready to stand up to that kind of scrutiny.
I've seen Total Recall. I know what melting skin looks like.
Yeah.
But no, that's one thing that's an interesting detail is that which I didn't really think of, that like it's not just that the dolls are animated and the spirits just dancing around in them. No, like he's turned them into meat things, and now they got guts and everything. So you think they would like feel them sloshing around on the inside when they're picking them up.
Yeah,
but
or you
whatever.
squeeze it and it like farts like.
Hospital food. What can I tell you?
Just as a test, I am back, right? Like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Welcome
reached
back.
I reached to my mouse and I clicked one of the side buttons and it just
Oh, went
exploded.
back in a page or something?
It seemed like
Yeah.
I was contesting you too hard, and you immediately. He's questioning me again.
You need to go emotionally collect yourself for a moment.
Listen, welcome to Hey, Did You See This One, where I have to emotionally collect myself every week.
After Steve says, "How the fuck do you know what melting skin looks like, you sick fuck?"
Right.
And he disappeared. Yeah. But yeah, I think the reason that it's so uncomfortable is because.
Speaking of uncomfortable,
I actually don't know what happened.
Steve, look at Alexa's screen.
I'm Zucky.
You put that together comically fast.
I mean, it looks like you did. It looks like you
Yeah.
put a Halloween Zuckerberg mask over top of his face.
I didn't even notice. I saw Zucky. I didn't even notice.
The Cult of Chucky. Yeah.
Wow, what a grenade of a joke. That's incredibly good. Can you send that to me?
Yeah, it's real rough.
It works.
Yeah.
MS Paint for the win. it
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah. Big time.
Oh my god.
As you were saying, Steve, though, that made you uncomfortable.
I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh, the fingers melting.
Yeah.
The reason that
yeah.
the reason that we're so uncomfortable is because there is the partial thought in our minds of like he's having to resist the pain, and we're you can imagine what it would feel like.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, we're watching something sentient be burned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Gum Jabbar moment. Yeah.
They plan to get the other doll and get rid of it. This is confusing and hilarious. That's what I wrote. He's Mark Zuckerberg now. Perfect time in the movie.
Zuckerberg,
Can't go outside because he hacked the doctor's computer and then they do the distract the nurse bit. And during this sequence, Claire goes to throw Chucky down the chute, and Chucky bites her on the arm. And this looks like she's insane. At the very moment,
that bite looked good though. Do you see how raised the bite marks were? It looked like a real nasty bite.
Yeah, I agree. But I was just going to say that I forgot. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. They immediately drag her into like an isolation sort of room and strap her down and inject her with something to make her sleepy. And then, of course, they leave the doll in the room. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
She's screaming about how the doll just bit her. Let's leave it in here with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you know what? She really turns on a heel though. It bites her. She's like, it's real. It's not even like something. Maybe something logical happened. It's like, no, that thing bit me.
But I mean,
they're like, why did you bite yourself?
Yeah.
Yes. But it is like one of those things where it bites her and like she looks at her arm and she sees a bite mark.
Yeah,
and she's
for
like,
sure.
Okay,
but would you? I mean, sorry. Would one? I'm not going to ask if you would think it was a sentient doll, Steve, because I think maybe you would.
I would say I wouldn't know if it was a sentient doll, but I
guess if you already had it in your head that someone is worried about a sentient doll,
maybe I would at the very least think that it's some sort of super intelligent robot that is biting me. Like, this is actually a robot. We need to open up its head and take out its robot chips or whatever.
And it just has intestines.
I would say it more like this.
I think that maybe this might be a super intelligent robot doll that has chips inside its head. We should take the chips out now. If you guys are into it.
And then you open it up and it's not a robot and organs are spilling out and you're like, sweet baby Ray.
Sweet baby Ray. Organs. Those are like the chips of humans. Am I right?
Those are like the delicious water that I drink as a human. The sweet baby Ray's drink that lubricates my
I was a
robot
human,
parts.
We learned about this.
I mean,
in
human
high
parts.
school biology class.
I've joined the cult of Zucky, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of Zucky going on.
Are we gonna spread throughout? All of us are gonna have it by the end.
It's a curse.
Yeah. Oh, I accidentally said a not too obscure phrase at Jason, and I've transferred into him.
You're like, achoo, duet.
I like while this is all going down, Nica's just watching out the window at this like funeral that's about to happen. Chucky gives her the finger, and we see Madeline throw the Chucky doll in the hole. Mark Zuckerberg goes to talk to her. She throws him in the hole. It's Malcolm, of course, and this is when they, of course, bring Claire into the room and knock her out. It's disturbing because the stuff that they use on Claire, they make it very clear that when she's under the influence of it, she can feel everything that's going on. So they say that to us, which is one of the worst things. The old year buried. Remember in Lost when they give Paulo and his girlfriend that like spider bite that makes them aware of everything that's happening. That's all I can think when they do this trope in movies. This is when the shit starts hitting the fan. Spoiler alert for my Home Alone at all later. They get called away for something else. The orderly's in the room with Claire, and she's left in the room with Chucky. Malcolm looks at Nica, which is weird. And the worst kill in the franchise / the best, besides the guy falling over backwards down the stairs, the glass ceiling murder. Chucky grabs a can of compressed air and he's just like flirting with her.
Does that mean what I think it means?
Yeah, he's like, compressed air. What do you think that means? And she's like, and he's like, okay. It's like, yeah, right. It's like, let's see if I can make this cool. I could probably kill you in a really cool way right now, maybe.
But do you know what's funny about that? He bashes it off the end of her bed. It shoots into the ceiling, and we get this really cool slow motion glass fall. That's the same murder It's the same. Also, yes, that's a good point. But the same murder he does to that couple in the shitty hotel.
Actually, Jason.
In Seed of Chucky.
Actually, Jason. It's Bride of Chucky, and it's
Bride of Chucky.
It's his bride that does it. He throws a champagne bottle into the mirror. It's not Chucky that does it, and that's when they're supposed to be not killing. They're like, no.
That They have sex in a silhouette moments later after that.
Yeah, they go in there. She goes in there for a reason. I can't remember. I think she goes in there to steal their money or something. It's something really mundane, that's why I love the Bride of Chucky is they're like a couple on the run. And they're just we got to steal money, but also we got to kill these idiots, right? These stupid fucks that we just met. Let's kill them.
Yeah.
It's so wild that there was a skylight in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While I was watching that, and it is a
I'll be
cool
right back.
effect where the snow is kind of splintering on the glass, and it's this sort of interesting, nice, beautiful shot. But you're right. Why the fuck would they
be
have
that there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like an operating theater. They're
yeah,
you know what?
It's not like it's in the therapy room or something.
Yeah, it's the
it's
doctors
if
were
you're getting strapped, you literally are getting strapped in to be whatever, and then it's just you gotta look
have some
outside.
sort of surgery done. The doctors were there's nothing like doing open heart surgery under the beating hot sun of a noonday. Through a skylight, it's probably intensifying the heat so much.
I thought with the compressed air it was going to be a fire kill because she was an arsonist. I thought they were going to try to follow some kind of theme for all that stuff. But
see now, Tim, that would make sense. You're thinking a logical person.
Yeah, smother the mother and
I honestly didn't even think about that, but I think it's because the first time I watched this movie, I was lying in bed shriveled, fucking
writhing in pain,
Darth Sidious, bring me water.
So hungover, you look like a PlayStation 1 sprite.
I look like Palpatine from when he gets freshly burned by Mace Windu, and he's like,
I'm all clammy now.
Fresh Palpatine, dude.
Yeah. Still steaming.
Yeah.
I need water. Sugar in water. Bring it to me, Anakin. Anakin. Please.
You look like Voldemort when he's in the fetus mode or whatever.
Fetus mode. You look like Gygus from the end of Earthbound.
I pooped my pants, Potter. Bring me to the shower, Potter.
So Andy's just hanging out at home and he sees the news on the screen. Chucky confirms he's not the only one. Andy has yet another doll. This doll has cut hair, which I think is my favorite doll. When we get to that doll, it reminds me of in Gremlins 2, how there's that insane the one with the eyes that go all fucky. Its voice is a little bit different, and it's a little bit more wacky.
Doctor, help me! My eyes are all fucky.
What's your prescription?
Oh, what do you mean?
Nica is going to prove it. She's going to prove that Chucky's real.
So much progress in therapy lost.
Right? She's like, it seems like Chucky can just Dimbala any doll based on a little flash sideways where we see him literally do a he says Bachamp, which is like a French word. So voodoo, of course, New Orleans. And I thought it might be hypnotism. It's not. And I think he's trying to trick Nica, and Nica isn't thinking she did it. And there's erased data. I'm getting a bunch of let me look at my mainline notes to see what's actually happening here, because I was just writing stream of consciousness notes and they don't make any sense.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know what you were saying.
Yeah, I didn't either. Let's see here. The impact So we saw the decapitation. Andy, aware of the
You're
killings,
allowed to read
realized
your notes while we're talking to prepare yourself for your own notes.
I've been trying to. Andy, aware of the killings, realizes Chucky has fragmented his soul into multiple dolls. He deliberately gets himself committed into the hospital by attacking Dr. Foley so he can destroy Chucky. So I've skipped a little bit here because during all of this, and let me get back to my actual notes that I was writing, there's the hip. I know what I was talking about now. The hypnotism moment happens.
The flashing light.
When I said this always goes so great, I mean, in any movie where there's hypnotism in an asylum, it means there's going to be perversion.
Buy more merch. Buy more merch.
Yeah, exactly. The erased data that I was talking about references the fact that Dr. Foley is like, look, you keep saying that a doll is killing people, but I have footage of you killing all of these people. Also, you want to kiss a little bit?
It is like the worst, like, because I, for some reason, thought that the creepy Mark Zuckerberg guy was going to be the perv, right? Like, I thought he was going to be the pervert. Turns out he's just another crazy person. Yeah. But the doctor, for some reason, I trusted him for like a good chunk of the movie, like until this moment where he's like, I'm going to hypnotize you. And then I'm like, oh no. No.
Yeah, he felt like he was being set up to be like the
hero, like the Loomis or something.
Yeah.
But nope, he's just a creep. And you know, we should have known. He's too put together. His hair is too nice.
Too polished.
His office is too weird. He's got like kimonos pinned to the wall for some fucking reason. Like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
No, instead
I'm very into Japanese culture. Did you know that I know how to use chopsticks with my toes?
Let me see.
Like the Japanese do.
I don't think that they even know how to do that. They don't. You're right.
But what's crazy here, and we see this exact scene happen twice. This is the first of the exact same scene happen 2 times. Chucky pops up behind Dr. Foley and smashes him over the head with a bottle. And
but I like the fact that like he goes in, he does his perv shit, comes back, and she starts laughing. He's like, "What are you laughing at?" And she's like, "Chucky's right behind you."
Chucky's right behind you.
Yeah. And he's like,
"Yeah, you're hypnotized."
Yeah, and he like licks her or some bullshit. And you're like,
that's the second time. But Steve, do you remember what Chucky says here? That is so great. And
he says like, he says, nothing that I can say will be funny. I'm not gonna try.
This actual scene from the movie.
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deja de estar viendo memes, pendejo. A la verga, me vale verga, perro. Y cálate a la verga, hija de su puta madre, a la verga. La verga, verga, sus.
The mother
I forgot that that's what he says. As soon as he smashes him in the head, yeah. He lands and he goes,
holy shit, and they call me sick.
Yeah.
They call me sick. I think later on he says like, I don't even know if I should kill him or take notes.
Yeah.
But you can tell that he does not respect this type of
of
treatment to a victim. He's like, I don't even want to give you a victim mentality. I want to make you a killer. I want to make you like me. I don't want to fuck you up that badly. Walking through life feeling sorry for yourself.
Chucky seems to have almost like a hijinks kind of angle.
Yeah,
where
it's like a Bugs Bunny killer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know all the shit that Bugs Bunny does to his enemies?
Yeah.
They die when he does them,
for sure.
Actually, up to this point, I was kind of wondering if the doctor was in cahoots with Jennifer Tilly and that they were conspiring to draw all this together. I mean, once again, that was just like me overthinking things, but
Tim's like, I wonder if this movie's going to be better.
Overthinking Chucky, classic mistake.
But when that was revealed, like, that he's just a demented bad doctor creepo, and like, oh, okay, and so the stakes for him were kind of neutralized from that point on for me.
Yeah, and that kind of sucks as well, right? Because the next time you see him, he's almost at a point where there's no threat anymore, where he's like not groveling, but he's like, if you won't tell anybody, I won't tell anybody. You know what I mean? Don't tell anybody I kissed you, and definitely don't tell anybody that I made you wear those high heels in your wheelchair, because that's really weird.
Oh, I have a note here that makes sense now, and it says, after red shoes, murderess. He calls her a murderess.
Yeah, he does.
Oh yeah, murderess.
Yeah.
Murderess.
But
That's very like.
He also says like, why do I always fall for the crazy ones? Like, he glorifies in his mind like the idea of a female killer. I think is like what really makes him like, oh baby.
Like I said though, that's two scenes that are the same scene, and we're still in the first one. This is the one where she like fades out and she fades back in while she's like tripping.
We
out.
know it's two scenes, Jason. Just so you know,
And
we're aware. We're not blending them together. We're aware.
She sees Alice, and Alice is wearing red shoes, which hasn't happened yet. That's the second time they do it. That's when he puts the fucking weird high
I think
heels
that
on her.
this is like supposed to be Alice kind of like warning her about him, like the therapist, and the red shoes in the dream are.
I
think
wrote
it would have been
Alice in Chucky Land.
Oh,
there you go.
You know what, guys? Ruby slippers are from Wizard of Oz, you thick fuck.
Well, this has been the show for this week. I'm thick fuck. You can find me on social media at thick fuck.
Another high school name.
I haven't heard anyone call you that since high school. Yeah.
Okay. Forget all that.
I'm thick fuck.
Remember in this movie when we see a giant Chucky though?
Yeah, I kind of like this though, because it reminded me of like
so
a David
weird.
Lynch bad effect. Like the effect is so bad that it like put me into like a David Lynch.
It's unsettling,
like a Twin Peaks bad, but it like still works for some reason. Like it makes me feel uncomfortable. Like it's a giant JPEG of Chucky that's just waving and lightning effects are only happening on him. You're like, what the heck is this?
Well,
took about as much time to make as my Cult of Chucky poster.
I think it maybe took less time.
Greatest. Nica wakes up on an electroshock table, but then wakes up again in the living area, which was like, is her whole experience of being in this place like, is she just reliving it at this point? That's what I was saying before, that there's this surrealism that's happening throughout this movie, that you never really know what's real, but also you feel like everything is real. Did you guys kind of get that going through it? It's like they try to do the dream thing, but none of it is a dream. We're seeing exactly what's happening.
Yeah,
like step by step.
I mean, it's
they
hard.
Put us in the loony bin.
Yeah, when you watch something like this, it's like there's a killer doll. You're watching a Chucky,
right?
So, and I've watched like 9 other Chucky movies before this. I'm not tricked,
Yeah,
like,
your disbelief is well suspended.
Yeah, I know there's at least one Chucky in this movie, but did I expect 3? No. That's where my like enjoyment comes in. But I the dreamlike quality comes from the good cinematography, which I talked about earlier. Is like there's not a lot of it, but there are some moments in this movie that do feel special, and like they took time with it to make it feel like you're feeling crazy with her, but you also are meant to believe that she's not crazy the whole time. Like she's not crazy.
You already saw what happened.
Yeah, but those moments where like she wheels in and the snow is coming down or whatever, and like the snow is going extra slow, and you can see the pain in her eyes and her face. And the snow is going. That's my snow noise. And
the snow is going.
Yeah.
But you don't feel crazy for her. You're feeling crazy with her, like because you know that everything around her is real. So the thing that is making you feel crazy is the fact that nobody is really believing her, which is supposed to be these movies for the most part, but there's like no point where you're ever like, she's not right. She's not right. She is right. But then she vanishes for a bit. Like she kind of disappears from the plot for like a second. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but we reawaken with her in a straitjacket later. But like, Jason, where are we at?
Well, I'll tell you. Malcolm thinks he's Charles Lee Ray.
We're at the point where they say the Cult of Chucky.
The Cult of Chucky-ality. They're all sitting around the table, and Nica swipes a pencil, and Madeline's like, "Can I hold Chucky?" And Madeline takes him. Dr. Foley, who is very much still alive, is like, "You assaulted me."
Yeah, he's like fine.
Yeah.
You'd expect him to have like a big bandage on his head or something comical.
Or I thought Chucky might kill him.
Yeah.
And she would wake up and he would be dead. And she could think she did it or something.
Him being alive, I immediately am like, okay, so she didn't kill him, which means that Chucky really wants her to kill him. He's like, I want you to kill him in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
And then I assume this is Chucky then goes to live in the garbage or whatever. I don't know what he does when he's not.
Right, but Dr. Foley's
when he's not with everybody, like where's he going? Probably in the garbage.
Dr. Foley's also like
in the kitchen.
I won't tell.
I'm gonna hide in here for 12 hours.
He's like, I won't tell. And then we see one of the most horrifying scenes in the whole movie, which we find out Chucky was fully awake and aware, because we don't fully know about we know from like a meta version of what we're watching that Chucky can Damballa other Chuckys, but we don't know that the dolls are actually all sentient at this point. And we see Madeline breastfeed one of the dolls, and we're like, that's weird. We find out later, of course, that doll was
it's not
breastfeeding.
You know what's the weird part is that when she pulls him away, her nipple is bleeding.
Yeah.
She
bleeds through her shirt.
Jason, you did not notice that for
I
the
didn't
rest of that
notice that.
scene, her white sweater has a big red blot on it? No?
Nope.
Oh my god.
Didn't
And you know what? Everybody else in the hospital thought that she was probably like, as soon as they closed the door, she's probably fucking sucking on her own tit and like biting it or something. Like that's probably what they think.
Yeah, that's what they were all gossiping about.
They're like, she somehow got it in her mouth and bit down hard enough to draw blood. Crazy.
Jennifer Tilly, who can't keep it straight, whether she's Jennifer Tilly or Valentine, this is that part. She calls Andy, and Andy's gunned up, and we have sort of here. I'm going to do this now, because it is and it isn't the part of the movie that does this.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
I'm bringing this up is because I had no idea that they could possibly say anything close to the Cult of Chucky. They don't, but at 55 minutes and 42 seconds,
I was right.
She does say cult. You are right, and I only mentioned it because I didn't think there was going to be a way to work it in. But when she says cult, I was like,
Yeah, she says there's three of us now, and then there's going to be 4. And you want to come in, Andy? You can be number 5.
And then we get.
Does anybody else have a better Jennifer Tilly? Come on.
I've got no Tilly in me.
No, nothing.
I'm Jennifer Tilly.
100%.
This is the sound of my voice when I'm talking as Jennifer
Are
Tilly.
you doing Zuckerberg right now?
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing Zuck. This guy's down to Zuck.
Yucking and fucking. Right in the asylum. I wrote a note that says more breastfeeding, so I'll cross that out. Nica goes.
That has nothing to do with the movie. That was just something in general.
Yeah.
Besides all this,
talk about you don't have to read your shopping list yet.
It's just a post-it on the fridge.
Breastfeeding.
The T-shirt that is a T-shirt from our shop that just says more.
Stardust speaks.
More breastfeeding.
Cross that one off.
Yeah. Nica goes to talk to Madeline. I wrote Madeline kills this Chucky doll. What?
Yeah, she smothers it with a pillow.
Oh
Jason,
yeah, she kills it.
You need your notes need to be a little better.
No, but my notes when I get about halfway through
What
the
you should
movie,
do is so this is a way that could help you for that. You could put pillow. She kills her child, and then you would know, right? Like just write like a word that happens in the scene, and then the note, and then it'll.
Your notes are like a kid who's only learned 2 of the 3 parts of speech.
Or everything started good. I think it's just because I've been drinking.
I mean, I've been drinking, and I figured you were stupid note house.
No, I thought he meant when he was making the notes.
No, I was sober.
Like get a pillow, lie down, write the notes.
Yeah. He killed her daughter.
Yeah,
it comes and goes. Because check this out, and the Doc and Charles Lee Ray catch her, Malcolm, and Madeline. I
wanted to ask you guys this. Do you think that he caught her, or they knew that she was going to go do that, so they're like, okay, so this is the cycle that she goes through. We're going to go in there, and she's going to be killing the baby, and we have to I assume that she's done this like several times already, right?
Mm-hmm.
This scene is terrible. This scene is the worst scene in the movie, and I didn't like it. I thought it brought this movie to a screeching halt because it doesn't really play into anything that's going on. We just get a weird scene where she suffocates the baby, gets caught doing it, and then they kind of help her to reconcile what has just happened.
I think the purpose for it is to make the then death scene of her make more sense.
Okay.
It doesn't really. You're right. It doesn't really do anything. Like
You should have seen what she did to her therapy bunny.
She scissored it to death.
Oh my god! Scissors or her vagina?
No, with scissors, like from the craft room. You sick perverted fuck.
You're the one that said scissored it to death. Though.
Yeah, from the sharps drawer.
I know what I did. It's from the sharps drawer. I agree with you, Jason. I think that her whole entire character is there, and it's like a very large chunk of the movie that is in no way kind of benefiting the rest of the movie for the character of Nica, Chucky in general. It's just it is just kind of like a slab of meat that's hanging in the killing room or whatever. It's just there to die. Whereas at least the other ones kind of make sense. Like everything makes sense except for hers. And it is the biggest one, which I think is Tim, I know you didn't really enjoy this movie, and that's completely fine. But this is a thing that when I watch a movie like this, I'm watching it for Chucky because I love Chucky, and that's all I want is Chucky. But then I see a thing like this, and I'm like, this is just a big slab of tenderloin that could be something great, but they just threw it in the meat grinder and it turned into hot dog meat. You know, that's all it is. At the end.
Nica does come in, and she's like, the doll's pretending to have died there.
I know, but that happens with every kill. She just every time, anything could happen in this building that is weird.
Listen, Steve, Chucky is a relic of pain and a relic of the past, which I think Dr. Foley says to
something along those lines.
Explain away this whole Chucky mesmerizing everybody.
That Chucky is real, which I love that he gets absolutely fucking flat-faced in realization, literally. It is one of the most satisfying Chucky kills in all of the Chucky franchise is his death, which is something I don't think even the last movie kind of elevated anything into that level for me, where I'm like, I love Chucky, I love everything about Chucky, but it's always about Chucky getting defeated. And then we get to the Bride of Chucky, where it's like, no, we like Chucky, we want Chucky to kind of have a good
win
adventure. And then it's like, no, but we still need him to lose. And then the Seed of Chucky, we still need him to lose. And then this movie, we still kind of need him to lose. But at the end of this movie, he doesn't lose. He wins at the end of this movie.
Right.
In a big fucking way.
I feel like Curse of Chucky 2, he he wins a little bit until like a post-credit scene. And that movie had
Until
a
he
lot
gets
of
his head blown off. Yeah.
that movie though has a lot of weirder characters and weirder scenarios that aren't as like
That movie
satisfying
is
as
like
this.
a board game. It feels like a
Yeah.
Clue.
Like Clue.
You know, like the movie, the Clue movie. Yeah, it feels like that. But Chucky's also there. They're like, who could have killed him? And he's like, it wasn't me. Like a murderous doll covered in blood. Like, I swear to God, it wasn't me. I was in the kitchen with this broad.
Okay, we'll get on the same page here. They bury the old lady. They have a funeral. Malcolm, who is fully Charles Lee Ray at this point, buries the doll separately. Nica says he always comes back. And then a car pulls up to the asylum and Andy gets out. He can't get in because the cop outside, or the orderly or whatever the fuck, the security guard is like, the visiting hours are over.
Don't you know that in Manitoba, visiting hours end at sundown, which is 2 p.m.?
So you got to come here at sunrise tomorrow, 1 p.m. if you want to visit.
So Andy pretends to go insane and just punches the security guard in the face, or a cop. I'm pretty sure a police officer.
He says he wants to commit himself, and they're like, "Get out of here, you fucking dildo!"
Punches him.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, if you
Wouldn't
punch,
you go to jail?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
We all thought
Wouldn't
the
you
same
go
thing.
to jail?
They would not put him in a cell. They would call the cops and get the cops to come.
Yeah, there would be a due process.
They are in extreme northern Manitoba, and they're like, the cops aren't going to be here for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe put them in the cell.
It's time for psychiatric ward Manitoba justice. Yeah.
This is also one of those movies where it like almost would have benefited the story more if they were actually in northern Manitoba, like story.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like that's how isolated this prison is. Like,
Yeah.
It's that far away.
Yeah.
So Nica's watching the grave. Chucky emerges. He does the fucking hand over the grave thing. And then another Chucky simultaneously drugs Nica, which this whole, like, I'm smart enough to recognize that it was two Chuckys, but the way that it's filmed, I feel like this movie's still trying to trick you into thinking you're the insane person. You are an insane person.
As if the hand hasn't been played yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I mean, I can't say for like a first time viewer, but like,
I'll be right back.
I'm already at the point where I'm like, there's a Chucky here, there's a Chucky there, there's going to be Chuckys everywhere. You know, if he's got a Chucky head in his vault at home and there's a Chucky also running around this compound, and every Chucky you see is a Chucky in play. You know, like, you have to shoot. Like, if this was a video game, every Chucky you would see, you would just like riddle it with bullets as you walk in the room.
I had an interesting realization about it where it's like, there's the first scene where they cross them in the hallway that time, and I thought that maybe he jumped from one doll to the other,
right?
But was still like singular. And then I think at this point, I don't know if I already knew or if I was kind of just like, I think I didn't feel like it was revealed to me. More like I'm like, oh, there's more than one. I'm like, oh, I guess I was supposed to know that.
Right.
Like
There wasn't a thing that.
It didn't felt like knowledge that was given to me. It felt like it was like almost like, hey, you're supposed to know this the whole time.
Yeah.
And not like.
And that's not
it?
a great. Yeah, that's not a great feeling either. Which, again, will knock it down a few points because like there should be a moment where that is made clear. You know, like even if like when the dolls passed, if like.
They winked at each other.
Exactly. Like that. That's
that's
a bad example, but like it's this thing that they could do that you would be like, what? Like you would be like, what the fuck? And you know what? Why not do it that early on? Because who gives a shit at that point?
Yeah.
Because the doll, you don't even know which doll is which half the fucking time.
Yeah.
They burn the one doll's hand and they never show which Chucky is doing which. They never like make the burnt hand like obvious or anything.
Yeah.
So like, do something like that just to get you even more amped. Because like anytime you see a Chucky doll, you assume it's haunted. Like you're not gonna be like, that's not the one.
Something as simple as like one turning ahead and then the other one turning the head afterwards, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh wait, they both can move. Why can both move? Yeah.
I will say though that to what you're saying with the dolls do pass each other in the hall early in the movie, and then later.
Exactly what we're talking about right now.
I know. I was listening to all of it.
Okay.
After that, you do see. I had clocked. That's one thing I did notice is that burnt hand is shown. It's subtle because this movie has a lot of weird subtlety that like is
When is it
unnecessary
shown?
for a horror. You can just like when you see the doll that has its hand burnt, its
vibes,
fingers are a little bit longer.
He's just got burnt hand vibes. That guy.
He's got burnt hand vibes, buddy. But
no, but
it's
I mean,
one thing
what
where
I'm
I was
saying
on a second viewing. I'm saying though, it just I was looking for all this.
But I'm
stuff.
talking about what Alex was speaking to, which is that he didn't have a moment of realization. It was a moment of like, I feel like I already should have known that, which is like that's sort of like a really shitty way for that to be revealed to you, because like you should have a moment of like or
yeah,
like
there was no shock and awe to it. And I feel like I am a very generous consumer of movies from the standpoint of like, if you're trying to tell a story, I don't think about what's going to happen. I just take in what is happening. So I like way, almost as a point, I almost make a, because I used to very like hyper analyze or like
I'm a TV version of that, but when it comes to movies,
see,
I'll
I don't try to.
Steve
I don't
be
try
like,
to.
Did you see that coming? And he's like, yes.
Because then
like,
I basically have burnt the synopsis that see things coming for me. I think because I used to be like, oh, watch a trailer for the new fucking Star Wars movie like 80 times.
I'm with you.
But now I'm like, if I like see a trailer for a movie, if I think I'm going to watch the movie no matter what, I don't even watch the trailer. You know what I mean?
I think that, like, Alex, you're speaking my language, buddy. I don't watch MCU trailers unless I'm in the theater to see whatever movie.
Oh, I go into sensory deprivation.
Because so do I. Steve's
go
been
in the theater, and my wife eats popcorn and shame
about this for a decade.
Yeah,
and we'll never see it eye to eye. But I do sort of see it from Steve's point of view. I have seen it more that like MCU and Star Wars trailers, they present a trailer to you that doesn't spoil big things. But I've been trying to say that even with that, the vibe of what they show, the story beats that they show in the trailer,
even
will give
settings.
too
I
much
consider settings spoilers.
Yeah, it'll give me too much information. So I've seen this Thunderbolts trailer once, and I saw the Brave New World trailer once.
Yeah.
And Brave New World was one of the most egregious fucking just show the whole movie trailers I've seen in a long time. The movie that broke my brain the worst for it was Superman versus Batman. Batman versus Superman. Back in the day, because they show the whole movie in that trailer, and they don't even
tell us who Jason's voting for. It's Superman, obviously. Changes the title around. Jesus,
I'm voting for Martha. Martha was the linchpin of the end of that fucking nightmare. But I'm just trying to say to you, Alex, that I really appreciate that there's somebody else out there that hates trailers.
I love trailers because I think that they're like almost an art form in themselves.
I like watching them after. I love watching a trailer after I see a movie and be like, oh, how much did they give away? How much did they show without context that didn't spoil anything, that in the context of having seen it is like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I just like getting hyped up. So like, if I've already seen a trailer, then it's not going to hype me up as much as if I haven't seen the movie. Like if I see the movie and then I watch the trailer, I'm not going to get as like jazzed as I would if I hadn't, right? Like I remember my
if you want to get jazzed, just watch a Mission Impossible trailer and watch Henry Cavill reload his guns, dude.
I love that.
But I have also felt that mysticism has faltered in the last few years, because now before I even see a trailer, I can predict what the trailer is going to be, and like it kind of sucks. Like
trailers are not
so fucking
they're not
excited
anymore. They're feeding.
Yeah, and I used to get really excited for those MCU trailers because they always did a really good job of hyping me up, and like I never felt the same way that you guys feel about like being disappointed by the movie. I wouldn't also microanalyze them, where I would go through every fucking frame to be like, what is this
that was like
This briefcase is going to mean something.
14-year-old me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I would, if it was edited nicely, if the music was amazing, and if it really kind of gave me the vibe of what I'm supposed to experience, I would get really excited. And like, I loved it. And I haven't had that experience in a long time, because it's not even because I'm like, I don't want to watch trailers anymore. It's just that like movies in general, like they've lost something in the last maybe like 8 years or so.
Yeah.
And Richard Harris.
We lost Tony Todd not that long ago. Fucking Candyman. We lost a lot, but like,
a great film.
Also, just the MCU in general, I haven't really given a shit since Endgame. Yeah. I think that like I was down for that second Doctor Strange because I like Sam Raimi and I like Doctor Strange. I think they're both two cool things and they work pretty well together.
Yeah.
But people hate that movie.
Yeah, it's dangerous to have a satisfying conclusion to something that you want to keep going.
Yeah.
They're showing a trailer on our stream right now for Born Again, and I have not watched a second of a trailer.
Is that a
for
show or a
Daredevil.
movie? I don't even know.
It's a show. It's a show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't want to
maybe
know anything about that. I don't care to know anything about it. I love the fact that it's going to be an MCU Daredevil, but my dad, I'm gonna
imagine at the end of the Daredevil Born Again trailer, like Daredevil was like, and he got up and he looked at someone who just killed him, and he was like,
"Hey, pal, it's me, Chucky."
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would have said, "Why is Daredevil looking at anyone? He's fucking blind."
I was actually going to say, I thought you were going to joke and say he looks up and says, "I can see the whole time," and that's that trailer ends. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Look, let me get us back on track. I did like that discourse on trailers. I appreciate it. I see all of what you guys are saying, and I appreciate that. But we do now get introduced to the head shaved Chucky doll who has been opened by Dr. Foley in a package. Then the nurse and Madeline interact with each other, and it turns out that after smothering a Chucky doll, the nurse is like, "How could you do that?" And Madeline is like, "Don't you know what it's like to have a kid?" And the nurse is like, "Yeah, I've got 2 kids, and what you're doing and what you've done
No,
is
Jason, come on.
fucked."
You are projecting from one side of this argument. She is.
How am I?
Because
put yourself in the shoes of a baby smotherer for a second.
Yeah, please, for a moment. She has this sort of devastating love, right? Like
I read this the way we were supposed to read it, but I want to hear Steve's point of view.
She has a devastating. She doesn't say, "Haven't you ever had kids before?" and "Don't you know what it means?" She doesn't say that. She has this like deep sadness inside of her, and then as she's walking away, she's like, "I'm going to check on you 15 minutes," and then she says, "By the way, I have 2 kids, and I would fucking do anything in the world for them because I love them." And she's like, "Do you love them so much that you would remove them from the world because you know that their life would be terrible?" And like that is a pretty poignant and heavy hitting point to make, because I assume that there are like many mothers in the world who find themselves incompetent and cannot imagine like having to ferry somebody through life to a point that they would actually become successful, and they think that killing them is a mercy rather than letting them live.
In real time saw that from 2 separate points of view, which I think is important to do. That's cool, I think.
Well, I mean, Don Mancini, genius.
Do you know what else is genius?
Dangerous fruit. Don Mancini.
Juicy fruit himself. Do you know who's in the room though at the same time? Chucky. Do you know what I coined him as? Dirt Chucky. Like Dirty Danny, but Dirt Chucky.
Dirt Chucky.
He's Dirty Chucky. He's here to fuck.
And he fucks her with his own arm down her throat. Yeah.
Oh,
she's like,
I have our first theory that might actually not be a theory, because I think we discussed it a little bit, but my theory, and you kind of spoiled my theory earlier by saying that she had the blood on her shirt.
The nipple? The nipple blood?
As soon as this happens, I go, was Chucky just, because in a very like Andy way, revealing himself to Madeline this whole movie to be alive there in the room with her, and that's why she was so upset.
Oh no, he's already been alive for sure.
That was my theory, and I guess we already kind of discussed that. But at this moment today, when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh my god, he's been talking to her this whole time, but for real, not in an insane asylum way."
Yeah, I assume anytime they close the door, which is like, you'd think. I would say that it's medium security, right? They're not at max security anymore, so maybe medium security. They literally say that, like,
yeah, they do. They do lay a lot of groundwork for when you're thinking, wow, these crazy people have a lot of leeway.
Yeah, they do keep being like, listen, you have more freedom here than you've ever had before, but we will take it away.
You were in the super crazy place, and you were really good. Okay, we trust you because you're really, really good.
Slightly less crazy. No cameras.
You're still
no
too crazy for out there.
devices.
You're not ready to go out into. We're not releasing you out into the streets of Winnipeg yet.
Yeah.
Because you're not well enough or crazy enough.
You need to.
That's the
find
actual
sweet
asylum.
spot.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose your Winnipeg subscribers, I think, tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I already lost
Yeah,
some
in 10 years, when this gets to them, they're going to be pissed right off.
Right? Yeah.
Once they figure out that tricky internet.
I had a literal MAGA person comment on one of her videos, be like, "You called us MAGA chuds. You lost half of your fucking viewership." I'm like, bro,
chuds. Yeah,
clown. Manitoba's, in Alberta, which is a chud territory. Listen, Chucky kills her by reaching down her throat and pulls out her trachea, and then sets up a bizarre crime
I don't
scene.
know what he was doing there. He pulled out something. He looked pretty happy about it too.
It looked like,
and you know what? He looked pretty pleased with himself with that one.
I was like me. He looked like me getting Roller Coaster Tycoon out of a Fruit Loops box. Wow!
In 1997.
I can't wait to put this into my computer. You're like, he's shoving it.
That's a normal parallel we just drew.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Also, fuck Madeline, dude, because she's like, would you even like kill your baby to save it from life? But then later, or when she gets confronted, she's just like, oh yeah, the baby wouldn't stop crying. Like, okay, that's
I totally.
You can't try to be profound after you already said, oh yeah, the baby cried too much, so I smothered it.
I also don't like she constantly is like telling everybody like, this is my baby, this is my baby, this is my baby. Then she kills the baby, and they're like, you killed your baby, and she's like, it's not a baby, it's a doll.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, but remember,
why is your nipple
or whatever the fuck your baby doll real baby's name was?
Yeah.
But I do love, Steve, that you had that like other side of the argument.
Yeah, no, for
it.
sure.
Like,
I think that it matters, right? Like, I think that's what they were trying to do, and like, I understand.
And she believes that too.
Yeah.
But
at the same time, does she? Like, she might just be a sick fuck.
Yeah, maybe.
I think she might
just
be
like Chuck. She's like Chuck and Zuck. Chuck and Zuck and Madeline.
Cult of Zuck, Cult of Chuck, Cult of fuck,
Cult of Zucky.
Zucky, Mother Chucky.
Unrated.
So I'm going to release the unrated Chucky version. Can I get the unrated version of
Willie's a Tim here.
I just want you to know that
Strap under the table.
Maybe some things in this movie that are too hot to handle. Just in case you don't know about it. The Cult of Chucky goes onto Blu-ray, DVD, and into your direct mind if you're a subscriber.
Watch it first in the metaverse. Now we have Pete.
So we get that great scene of the orderly just taking the Chucky doll and whipping it down the trash chute.
Yeah.
Bye.
That trash chute was 60% of the movie's budget, by the way.
Story trash chute for some reason. They like film
This is when we go over to full straight jacket Nica. She's back in Dr. Foley's office with Chucky. Nica tries to tell him again. He doesn't care either way because he's trying to write a book, I guess, about some situation.
Where I also am like, he's crazy too, right? Like
I think that he might be an insane person as well. She tries to warn him again. He's a creep again. He pulls out the red high heels. Chucky bashes him with a bottle again.
I thought we already did this scene. Is there two of them?
There's two of them. And then Chucky says a great line, which I wish I had pulled, like based on the context of this episode. But he says, "I can't with this guy. I don't know whether to kill him or to take notes."
Yeah. And you're like, Chucky murder's one thing, okay, but I don't want you associated with this brand. Yeah, I felt that way. I felt defensive of the characterization of Chucky there when he's like, or take notes, but then obviously we know what side of history falls on.
But I think that he even meant that as a joke.
Yeah. No, in the greater context of things, I do agree.
But I also think that Alex, you're right. He should have afterwards been like, "I'm just kidding."
Yeah.
But in Chucky's defense, he immediately then transfers his essence into her and lets her stomp the shit out of his head.
Right?
Yeah.
Dirt Chucky comes in, warns him about Andy. He Dimbalas the third Chucky, the hairless Chucky. Chucky got the spell from voodoo-for-dummies.com this time, which I thought was a fun callback, which we talked about earlier.
Is there a dummies.com website?
Yeah,
Google it.
There's gotta be.
What, like a fordummies.com?
It's running off of some guy's computer in his basement, but
there is. There's a dummies.com.
Is it like the yellow?
How easy is it to use?
It's exactly what you would imagine it to to be. There's a yellow bar at the top that says fordummies.com.
Yeah.
A wily brain.
Not too many places to click. You don't get lost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's directing me over here. Tennis for dummies.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. I thought it was tennis because of the picture. It's pickleball for dummies.
Oh,
hey,
ever wondered what
you're
pickleball
too stupid for the site for dummies?
This is a site for idiots. Also, the top is like there's a picture of Spider-Man. There's a picture of somebody who's cooking. There's a picture
for pickleball.
No, this the whole they're over encompassing.
Steve, you're looking in the phone book.
Yeah.
It's all yellow.
Where's these pages are yellow?
Spider-Man's here.
Hold on, I'm gonna call Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So we have we have.
When did I subscribe to the Daily Bugle?
Yeah. I need pictures of people cooking pickleballs.
We have the three Chuckies talking to each other now that he's been Dimbaled. They also list previous kills from the earlier movies. He can basically Chucky anything with 2 legs and a hand for stabbing, which I thought was funny. And cool orderly, the orderly from the beginning.
Are you just gonna say the cool funny lines he says? Come on.
Well, I just said that. I thought that was a funny line to say.
It was a funny line, but we could all said it together out loud.
Every 1, 2, 3. Basically, Chucky.
I was like, I don't know the line. I don't remember it.
I would just be speaking Spanish again, but
oh, that would have been a great one. Great opportunity. Puta madre.
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deje de estar viendo memes, pendejo.
A la verga me vale verga, perro. Y cállate a la verga, con su puta madre a la verga. La verga, verga.
Sound like he's gargling.
Yeah. He does call her a puta madre in that. If I'm not mistaken.
Whose dad did that? Like, it's literally like.
It's just if you're watching it on a Spanish language channel.
I know, but it's like it's probably like the woman. They cast some Spanish woman to play the woman, and then the guy who gave her a ride as Chucky.
Yeah. Oh God!
It's not bad because it's Spanish. It's bad because the guy sounds like shit.
incredibly enough.
Have you seen that scene in English? It's just as crazy. Like it's him being like, "You fucking crazy bitch!" Like he's like,
Does he go?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Like in another language, it would probably sound like if you didn't speak English.
I
you'd be
guess.
like,
I guess if you just gave that to someone and said, "Translate this,"
I want to hear that in Korean.
Yeah, I want to hear all the languages.
All of them. I'm telling you, my best kill spree is in all.
I want to see them all laid over one another as one.
Oh
as
my
one
God.
Clip.
Oh wow.
The cool orderly
What are you,
comes
the
back.
fucking psychiatrist in this movie?
I am. I'm a psych.
I want to see them all
Let me kiss
laid
your little
over
feet.
one another.
Let me kiss your little toes. Put on these gold boots.
I actually, I turned away from the screen. I went, this guy needs to die right now.
Me too.
Because I don't like feet that much. Like feet, I'm not like, but like when someone's like doing too much to feet, I'm like, stop.
No,
Stop.
like as somebody that isn't specifically not a foot fetishist, anytime a foot fetishist comes on my screen, I don't mean to yuck your yums, you guys, all three of you, but I want to say that I do not.
You just lost half your audience.
It's like the comment comes up. It's like Quentin Tarantino, like was watching, never will watch again.
Yeah, half the audience are MAGA fuckheads, the other half are foot fetishists.
Yeah.
What have we been making this whole
My
time?
mom watching.
Excuse me.
So the cool orderly comes into the room, and the three Chuckys, who are now sentient, murder him in a very disgusting, gory way, where they all do 3 different murders to him at the same time.
It was like when I first met this character, I was like, I can't wait to see the growth of this character in this movie.
Yeah.
And then forgot about him until this moment when he gets killed. You're like, oh wait, no, he's dead.
Yeah, it's 2 story beats where I'm gay, here's some gum, and then I'm dead.
I'm dead. Here's some
That was kind of like when I first met you, Alex, and then I later met you again. My mid-20s.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great that we got to see these Chuckys like murdering him, and then they go back to talking to each other about who's going to go kill Andy. They sort of explain their case, and one's like, "Well,
what happened to my hand?"
Yeah, and I've been after him since the start. And the third one's like, "Look at my fucking hair," and they're like, "Yeah, you got it. You go, you go take it."
No, you're right. You're completely right. You should go kill the fuck out of him. Yeah, go now.
Flash
I do like that one of them just has a burnt hand. The other one is missing an arm, completely dirt covered, and then
dirt
he's like,
covered.
Look at my hair. My hair is fucked up.
Yeah,
okay. Like yeah. Flash to the car where we see Tiffany again, and it does that thing where it just slides over, and the fucking Tiffany doll is in the fray now. Not really used at any point in the movie, but okay, let's do a tally. There's 3 dolls in the movie. There's the Chucky doll head. There's the Charles Lee Ray person, and now a 6th doll that is Tiffany. I think that's 6 dolls total at this point.
Yeah, it's a cult. I think all you need for a cult is 4, right?
Yeah.
Is that science?
I think that's. I don't know if it's science, but it's like
I would say
sociology.
4,
I believe.
I would say 4 is a definite minimum.
Are you thinking 3 is a
people
conspiracy, 4 is a cult?
Yeah, because like you got to take 1 out. 1 is the charismatic leader, and then if you have 2 people, that's not much of a cult.
But imagine the charismatic leader was also everyone. But I guess that's what it is. It's a cult of infection, right? Like
yeah.
We're all here together, man. We're all gonna take them down.
And they all kind of become individuals at that point, where they have different experiences now. It's not one.
It's not a hive mind. Yeah. It's
and
like
I do love that like they don't even address that. They're like,
no, I'm me, you're you, and you're you. There's no us here. You know, like,
we're gonna settle this philosophical debate before we kill anybody else.
Let's just start this now. We're all our own killers, and we'll go do our own thing.
But they all
right
serve
now.
a
We
common,
need to get out of
like,
here.
Chucky direction, which is nice.
Yeah.
Adebo comp dembella.
It's Ade Due Dembala.
But in this one, it's Bo.
Oh yeah, because he changed it to like a different. Yeah, you're right.
Because he went to the web.
Sorry, sorry.
Website.
He went to Voodoo for
Dummies.
Dummies. Yeah.
Oh, wait, I said for .cummies. I said voodoo for dummies .cummies. That's a different
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a completely different website, which I've been to. So Chucky,
But food fetishists,
gotta-
get the hell out of here.
Food fetishists, yeah. Jason, is there a strobe light going off in the background? No.
No, that's just
No. It was a joke about you hypnotizing somebody.
oh, because I saw a little bit of a
Oh no.
over here. Yeah, there is a strobe light. So Nica gets the Ade Beauchamp d'Embellade. She can now walk and becomes Charles Lee Ray full stop. So this is like number 7 at this point. There was 2 movies that were setting up that she was not able to walk, and it's pretty fun because of the ability for this voodoo spell to make anything inanimate become a walking creature.
Yeah.
I thought was really interesting that she's now able to fully walk because it makes sense.
It does make sense. You think it's like and you even find yourself thinking like, yeah, well, her legs wouldn't really work, but it's like, okay, well, previously he was in a toy doll.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not
of the 2 things.
Yeah.
The one made of meat and bones makes more sense. Yeah.
But I was ready. I think I was more ready to accept the doll, but I guess it's just because Chucky's been around longer than I've been alive. So
yeah.
So the pineapple could become.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have an arm for stabbing.
Oh yeah. Okay. That throws it completely off.
This is when we go back to the Toy Story argument.
Speaking
like,
of,
if I'm a potato head, if I
pineapples,
potato head this pineapple with arms and legs and give it a knife, is it
that's
able
true.
to?
I don't know if you guys have ever seen Tele Francais back in your school days, where
Tele Francais.
there was a little puppet pineapple, Les Ananas, and it had it's if you image search it, it's absolutely terrifying. That's what I've been thinking about this whole time the pineapple's been brought up. Is this old French education show teaching kids how to speak French, and les ananas, and he'd be talking to people and like, this thing's a wide awake nightmare.
And it's like les ananas has like a knife and
an arm for stabbing.
It's got 2 arms for stabbing.
Well, I googled les ananas, forgetting that is just the pineapple.
No, I knew.
Yeah,
I knew that. I know that's what it is. But when I remember les ananas now.
Yeah, the Tele Francais.
Oh goodness gracious!
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh,
There he is.
It's gonna be a long 17 minutes, guys. Strap in.
Allons à l'observatoire.
Bonjour.
Oh my
No,
God.
do not
I
arriver.
thought it was 17
Fantastique! Un jeu vidéo! La nuit dangereuse.
Oh my God.
Je suis champion des jeux vidéo!
Is this the next episode?
Moi?
All right, kid.
Tu as de l'argent?
You better win, or else I'm gonna cut
alors,
your
pour
fucking
commencer-
balls off and play
Oh.
happy sack with it.
Droit?
Okay. Well, that was
That was
Les
the
Ananas.
best. That was the best of les ananas. As good as it got. That's what they opened with, too.
Pretty well. Yeah, it's
That was
hard-
to hook people in.
Well, Nica now, as a fully sentient Charles Lee Ray, stomps in Dr. Foley's head and says, "This is for Nica," and the stomp is gruesome.
Yeah. Speaking of pineapples.
Yes.
Holy
No, that's not
shit,
even
dude.
funny. That's apt.
Yeah.
like ripened fruit. Yeah.
They did like a smart thing. with
Ripened
Stomp, too,
fruit.
where they had his face multiple times over, but they also had the stomp like go in and it would cut away obviously, but they would cut back and it would be more intact than it was the previous stomp. So it like made it look like they did something that like made it look like it was getting more brutalized than it actually was, right?
Yeah.
It was just kind of like a smart sort of editing decision to make it far more brutal than it needed to be.
Yeah,
and,
it was
like,
very gruesome.
I think
yeah,
this one and the one later with Chucky's head, that one obviously is much easier to do because you can just smash the head. This one, to be like a human, and anytime that Chucky's guts getting pulled out, that this movie just has a lot of really like cool horror practical effects that are utilized. I thought like out of all the horror movies we've done on this show, this one has some of the best like uses of, let's not rely on CGI. Let's go for the old school horror. Viscera, yeah. I think this might be the new. Is this the newest movie we have in the whole Grimoire?
I don't think up there at 2017. It's probably up there.
Yeah. I think this will be out of all the Grimoire movies, this will be the most
recent.
Yeah.
And I think to the end of the Grimoire might be the most recent. It might be like, this is, if you put all of the Grimoire movies on a timeline, this is the last one, because I don't think there's anything beyond 2017 we're going to cover until Scream. But
yeah,
there's no Jason.
Wait,
Freddy,
are you spoiler alerting people?
No, it's called an Easter egg.
Okay,
it's a tease for later.
Now we have to play the recording. We have to play the recording at the end now because I have it on here. I was gonna.
Well, put it. Is it on here? Yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd love to show the boys.
But it's not a video. It's just a recording. It's just me talking like a creep.
Well, Nica goes to Malcolm. He's killed the nurse. He's killed the sexy nurse. So okay,
with the drill as well, which is, it's like she was like, I'm going home because like I don't like this anymore, and then she gets killed by that sick fuck. That made me immediately be like, this guy sucks. And then when she comes up and she's like, yeah, well, you're just a pretender, and he's like,
yeah,
what do you mean? I'm like the best Chucky that ever lived. And she's like, no, you never lived, you never died.
I want to do the first ever hated you see this one. I want to ask all three of you. I almost said four. There's four of us, but I'm going to ask all three of you.
It's just a picture. Zuck is not really here.
I'm also here if you want to ask me.
Oh, sorry.
My theory, okay, is that when Malcolm gets thrown in the grave with Chucky, he gets disemboweled, and then because he's got multiple personalities later, it manifests, and he does actually have Charles Lee Ray in his head, and that's the reason why I can put a period on that by later when she says it seems like you have too many people in your head, or whatever she says. I want to ask the three of you, what do you think that he actually became Charles Lee Ray, or he knew enough about Charles Lee Ray to do his like Mark Zuckerberg, Michael Phelps?
I mean, does anybody else want to go first? Because I'm gonna just.
I have a couple of thoughts, and I can't really say anything to say outright no, but they don't do enough for me to say an outright yes either. And when it comes to movies, you show, you don't tell, and if you don't show it to me, then I can't say anything to it necessarily. The one thing I can say is there's an element, not fully realized, but an element of people projecting themselves onto the whole Chucky thing. So with what's her name, with the whole smothering baby issues that she has as an example. And so his multiple persona complications.
Welcome to the asylum. What's your issue? I have an issue with smothering babies.
yeah. But I took it when I watched it. I took it as he was trying to project his multiple personalities onto this other thing. Now, I didn't see that because otherwise, why would Chucky kill him if he was another Zimbalid?
Yeah, I think I went along thinking, oh, I wonder if it. I think maybe intentionally I was guessing one way or the other. It's like, oh, is that the next personality that he chose, or is it Chucky inside of him or whatever?
Yeah,
Charles inside of him, and then I think I was pretty much dispelled of it when he got got.
Yeah, I took it as a red herring.
I also agree. I think that he has never met any of these people that he pretends to be. Like his brain creates personas based on his surroundings
and his exposure to whatever they are at, like,
exactly. So he probably read an article about Zuckerberg.
He probably saw Social Network or something.
Yeah, he saw a movie about Michael Phelps, and he was like, "Is this the one who had AIDS? Oh no, this is a different one." And he created a persona. And then he did the same thing when she arrived, where he starts to get really into the Charles Lee Ray story and the Chucky lore. And then he created a persona within his own mind to help him deal with that, or like to personify it for him to like explore or whatever. So, and I completely agree. Why would the real Charles Lee Ray, who's embodied into another person, kill another Charles Lee Ray and another person? Because that would just give him even more opportunity to create havoc, which is all he wants to do. He's like a virus at this point.
Mm-hmm. My thing
He's
with
like
that,
a wet
dude,
gremlin.
Yeah.
My thing with that though was like
Wet Gremlin, Alex's nickname in high school.
I'll take that.
Got him. I took that as like there's too many Chuckys, and that's why he ultimately killed him. But I like that you guys weren't mystified as much as I was by it. I did find it super sad when he falls to his knees, he's about to get killed, and Malcolm sort of says like I'm just multiple Malcolm, and I had all these personalities in my head all the time, and that made me sad. He gets a brutal drill through the head, which does a close-up of the eye taking the drill through the head. And this movie doesn't rely on CGI. And even in this scene, like that, they had to have used some sort of like combination of practical and CGI to like manipulate this scene. But it looked so good. Like it looked better as a special effect than a lot of movies I've seen.
Yeah.
I thought it looked incredible.
That most of the special effects in this movie, like they catered to those things, right? Like they built stuff around them. So they're like, we're gonna make this around this one shot, and we're gonna get the shot, because that's how the movie feels, right? Like it's not super heavy on story. It's more like,
for sure,
how do we make these shots work, and how do we get this to work? And it's like a special effects movie, which is great, because it's not a special effects movie in the sense that like it's going to be a bunch of CGI gobbledygook. It's just CGI good kills.
Yeah, just like
okay,
classic gross out.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't even really get to talk about it too much when she gets her head cut off by like the pane of glass coming down.
Right. Yeah.
It's fabulous. Like it's
so good.
It looks
so
amazing.
gruesome.
It's so gruesome, and it's so impactful. Like the way the glass like hits the pillow and everything bends properly.
It does a jump scare in that moment too, where you don't know really, like you see what's about to happen, but as it happens, it cuts from the glass falling to a quick cut of her head getting cut, and then a head roll, and all of it looks so cohesive and so good. And I think I know we kind of glossed over that. You're right, Steve, but I'm glad that we're kind of talking about it now, because that kill
and the snow falling in the room
and the snow falling in the room, and then like the element of snow being more of a part of when gruesome things are happening throughout the rest of the movie. The only thing that I wish this movie did was show blood actually on snow, like on fallen snow, which I don't think happens.
Yeah.
But
no, the closest thing you get.
Well, it's the middle of July in Winnipeg, so there's only a little bit of snow.
Yeah. It was only snowing for like 90% of the filming. But they couldn't quite catch that heavy snowfall when they really needed it. But I think the closest thing is when they when she slits the guy's throat and it goes on the window. Like that's the only outdoor kill that we really get. Everything else is
coming
inside.
up when Jennifer Tilly kills that guy, I guess.
Oh, the thing I just said. Sorry.
The thing that you just said. Okay, that's what I thought you were saying.
The thing you just said.
Listen, dent, listen.
Andy fights short-haired Chucky, pulls a gun out of him, right?
Yeah. This is the thing I was saying earlier, where it's like,
Wicked
oh,
move.
that's why he mailed him there. He was just a regular doll, and then he had to get because he wanted the doll.
That was actually a very good payoff in this.
Yeah.
But he unloads the whole clip into that Chucky doll, which
Yes,
is
he
like,
does.
is there ammo? Is there ammo in that Chucky also?
Setup and payoff for this episode. I said it's a very good payoff for a moment, but then it kind of pays off poorly. The poor part is that he releases the entire clip into the one doll he fights, and it's like, well, what, Andy? And I guarantee you, the Mancini original script for this was Andy running through the whole fucking place, like fighting like a million Chuckies. You know, like there's probably like ding, 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 ding,
out of the Chucky doll.
There's probably like people coming up being like, Andy. He's like,
and then whoever's in charge of the budget
like,
said, I can give
crazy.
you 4 Chuckies and 3 bullets.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that Fiona Dourif, when she changes into Charles Lee Ray, her like whole demeanor shifts. And she's so
what it makes me realize
cool.
is how much I want to fuck both Brad Dourif and Fiona.
Yes,
I'm like, I want to fuck both of them.
I wrote she does a good Chucky. It's like very.
I mean, it's her dad. I assume that he probably does that at home, right? Like,
Hey,
Fiona,
every Christmas for the last
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna cut the shit out of this turkey.
Yeah. I also wrote that Andy looks like a dollar store Zelensky.
Oh. Yeah.
Timo
You know
Zelensky.
what?
Yeah.
Topical.
I love that.
Yeah.
Topical.
And it's crazy that when he goes that one scene in the YouTube part when he's showing the head to the guy, he's like, all right, Andy, maybe you should get out of here. And also next time you should wear a suit. Why aren't you wearing a suit in here? It's a mental institution. Don't you know that people are going to get confused?
And she walks to the door after Andy stomps the fuck out of this Chucky doll, and he pulls the gun back onto her. Obviously, has no bullets left, but she's like, "You kill me, you kill her," and he goes, "Click."
Hold on, before you go beyond that, him stomping the Chucky doll and her stomping that guy's head. That is an example within this movie of like, he came back and he did an admirable job, but she is an actor and she's a very visceral and powerful actor.
Yeah.
She stomps the fuck out of that guy's head to the point that like, I'm like feeling tons of emotions just watching this happen.
You feel like you actually watch someone's head get kicked in.
Yeah. And when I'm watching him stomp the Chucky jaw, it looks like you told one of your buddies, like, stomp it. Stomp it. Stomp it harder.
You want your money? Stomp on the doll.
Stomp it harder, please.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like.
I want to tell everybody
that looks bad. It doesn't.
If you're a fan of Fiona Dourif, if you've never seen Dirk Gently,
Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
If you've never seen that,
particularly,
go watch.
If you've never seen that, even if you hate her, watch it.
It's
so
incredible. It's Elijah Wood plays such a great character in that, and it's such a weird like sci-fi fantasy adventure. But she plays basically Chucky. Like she plays this like ultimate serial killer, like murderer. She's always covered in blood.
She plays a character who knows exactly what's going to happen at all times, so she's able to kill anybody at any point. And which is
she's like a literal superhero, and her power is like, I'm covered in blood.
But she's not really though. This is another thing where like that show, like she's not a villain. Like she just knows exactly how to get out of any scenario she needs to get out of, and most of it requires extreme violence. Like,
Jason, not all women are villains.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Yeah, sorry. We were gonna do the feminine masterpiece theater this month, but Jason said, "Can we do female villain masterpiece?"
yeah. There's not enough men on this month. Let's get 2 in one episode.
We're gonna have 8 men and 1 woman on this episode.
Yeah.
Why does everybody think I hate women? Okay. Thank you guys.
I didn't know I was contributing to a culture of attributing sexist malice on you.
It's a meme.
We call it a Zolkture around here.
It's a meme that my own wife razzes me about. I'm
Yeah,
a furthest thing away from possibly
I didn't
being
even
a
know it was a
fucking
thing
He-Man
until
woman
I said
hater.
it, and then Jason was like, my wife says that too," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Well,
Oh.
you know, if two people say it, maybe it might be
I've
true."
never given anybody a reason to even fucking think that about me.
I
It's
know.
just
I
funny,
know by
'cause I look-
virtue of knowing your wife that's not true.
right.
Yeah,
you
she would not.
fucking-
It would. She would not abide.
The dude.
Jason just like
does not
starts up
abide.
a video game. He's like, "Why are they forcing me to play as a woman?"
Yeah. Didn't she used to be hotter?
Is there a booty mod I can add to this game?
Can I put bigger boobies and booties on this broad? Listen. Andy gets locked in the cell by Charles Lee Ray, and that's the end of him for this film.
She does a great Chucky laugh though, and it's her. It's clearly her doing the laugh
For sure.
As she closes the door, I'm like, "This is gonna be great."
She's great.
And Steve, I don't know if you want to tell the people, but I'll tell them. Fiona Dourif in the Chucky TV show. You want to tell them?
Oh my god, it's so great. They do like, so they do these flashbacks of when Charles Lee Ray was like a murderer before he got turned into Chucky, and like it's him like running around being like, "I gotta fucking kill people," and like he's with Valentine and all this shit. And what they do is they Fiona Dourif plays him in like a man dress.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
It's so
That's
fucking
very
good.
Genius.
And they never really give her like close-ups to the point that it's like distracting. It's almost always in like wide shots or medium shots, and like they're sort of like dream sequences almost. They're not like full flashbacks.
Yeah,
but it's definitely just her, and she's
that
got
works.
all of her dad's mannerisms, and like she does.
She
the
has
voice-
her dad's mannerisms in this movie when she clicks and switches over and she like changes her face.
Yeah.
She has some line when she first says it that feels a little cringy when she says it, but then when you look at it from the point of view that she has become Charles Lee Ray, it's so good.
Yeah, that's another reason that I think the show is worth a watch, man. Is like just Fiona Dourif like flexing her weird acting muscles that like I don't know what she's
I
gonna.
am learning in real time the relation of her to her father.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
They're the same. They look
She's
so
Chucky.
similar.
They do, yeah.
They have the same eyes. It's
they have
uncanny.
everything. It's all there. It's very obvious.
So
They give her like a prosthetic sort of like nose a little bit to like, you know,
Yeah.
point her face.
And, like, a
And
beard.
they usually like they'll put like all the hair and like have glasses, and he'll
Yeah.
and like it's his voice being like, "Baby, come on," but it's like her physicality. It's so good. Like it's just a smart, funny thing to do.
So Chucky walks outside. Tiffany is murdered in that guard, like we talked about. They reunite. They share a little kiss, and she's like, "So this is different and new." And Tiffany's like, "I'm into it." And they leave.
She's also like the most perverted. She's like, "Did you bring my smokes?" And she's like, "I've been inside for a whole goddamn month over here. You think I got cigarettes in there?"
And what
got
I
one."
noticed about the ending of this movie is it feels very much like it didn't feel like the end. Like there could have been more stuff. I'm
Okay,
so
but
glad it's a
this is the
TV
one thing
show.
that bugged me the most is that like Tiffany always like she's the kind of person that would be like, "Did you get my smokes?" Right?
Yeah.
There's a moment in this movie earlier where like, "I'll trade you a cigarette for some gum."
Yeah.
We kill that fucking perv, the redheaded guy. He should have had a cigarette behind his ear. He should have taken the cigarette, and
Yeah.
she should have said, "Do you have my smokes?" And he should have given her the cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
Would that not have been fucking
Kind
good?
of close the loop on that. Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't have been good. Like, what the heck? That's one of those things where I'm like, did they forget about it, or did they just like, was it there and they got rid of it for some reason? Like, maybe, who knows? But then it makes it feel like the whole cigarette thing didn't matter in the first place, which it really doesn't after that scene where they fuck in the
It was just
stairwell.
to give them some
It's
kind
never-
of weird interaction, I think.
I know,
Yeah.
but like,
Juxtapose.
but Tiffany Valentine loves her cigarettes, so like, it's like give her the fucking smoke at the end.
Yeah.
All you got to do is pluck the cigarette off that guy who died.
Yeah.
right before the credits
Someone on
roll,
sets smoked it before they could do it.
Yeah, they're like, "Where's the smokes?
we only have 6 cigarettes up here in Alberta.
Brad Dourif is like sitting next to like a huge mound of like cigarettes that are like, he's like,
I don't know. It's not me. I swear it wasn't me. Can I get another one too?
"We're out, Brad."
We
If we're
do
out,
get the
I'm
great,
out.
Yeah.
we do get the great scene where they're sitting in the car and they one of them moves out of the way and the Tiffany doll is there. They all laugh. They drive away. This is when I recognized, and through this whole movie, you had to realize that filming actual winter must have been a whole thing. And I guess now that we've talked through it, it's because they were in northern Manitoba, Alberta, which is insane because normally to get like actual snow, you have to like create it. But it seems like the snow in this movie might have been legitimate, like some of the times.
Yeah, I think almost any time outside the that was too much snow for like fake.
Like that was they were
for
just
the budget of this
filming
movie
outside.
that looked like real snow.
Yeah, for $5 million. Yeah,
but those moments where they're like the security guard like going to the car and the doors open, that was all digital snow. Like that was clearly digital snow. But you know, it didn't hurt my brain too much because I was like, it looks pretty good for digital snow. That looks all right.
Yeah, it wasn't
my brain knew it was
looks
bad,
good.
but like my brain was also like not bad enough to, you know, shit on it that hard until we now have to talk about it. But like,
so the credits do roll on this film, and I didn't see this the first time I watched it because I like don't normally wait around for post credits. But at the very end of
is there one? I didn't watch it.
Kyle from Child's Play 2 comes into the cabin, gets the Chucky head, and says, "I'm going to do torturing to you more."
What?
Yeah.
So the version that I was able to get hands on did not have that. So that was the thing. I when I was doing a bit of reading on it afterwards, saw that there was a post credit thing, and like, so I went through my copy again, and like, it wasn't on there. So that's one thing that I thought was interesting, was that like some of these things seem to have them, some don't.
I'm watching it right now.
He's in the thick of it.
Have I not seen that? Oh, the babysitter.
Yeah, the babysitter. Kyle comes and says, well, you're seeing it now.
Why is she dressed like fucking someone from like Michael
She's dressed
Jackson
like Resident
music video?
Evil. She's dressed like fucking yeah.
Kyle? Oh, shit. I mean, you can't really do much with those. I don't have any balls anymore.
Okay.
So that's how the movie ends. What a great film.
Yeah.
Normally what we would do now is we go into our Home Alone at all, but I made a promise to Tim about 4 months ago now that if Tim had ever come back on the show, we would bring back a little segment.
Oh no.
A little tiny segment. And Steve, you wanna hit the plug? You wanna hit the sting?
If you want me to, I gotta figure out where the fucking sound cue is over here. What's it called again? I can't even remember what it was called.
Or Game Time. I don't remember which one it is.
Oh.
Yeah, there it is.
It's time to play Guess the MPAA.
Hello, everybody. My name is Charles Gray, and of course, I am the host of the world's greatest game that everybody's been playing every single day since the game ended. This is the reboot of the reboot, the reboot. This is the MPAA
I've
rated
been locked
game.
inside of a vault waiting to get out. Come on, baby.
And because I was never allowed to tell you the rules, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host right now, Stephen Cultist. What are the rules for the MPAA rating game, if you can remember them?
The Cult of Timmy, Alex Gow. You two are trying to guess a number between... what was it? Did you give us the number?
999.
Yeah, all the numbers.
Yeah.
Usually, my co-host would give me the numbers that you need to guess between, but he did not do that this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and say a number between 999 and 1.
Of course. So all you have to do is I'll give you the first two numbers. It's a 5-digit number. I'll give you the first two numbers. All you have to do is guess a 3-digit number between 000 and 999. I have to remember that I have to take notes for this, so everybody gets their fair shake. We're gonna go 2 rounds. We already talked about the budget. If you can remember it, then maybe you'll get a third answer. But let's just go to Tim first. What do you guess?
522.
Okay. Well, I can tell you right now that it is lower. How about you, Alex?
367.
Steve, it's lower.
220.
Tim, it is lower.
We're narrowing it down here, folks. All the way down.
97.
Alex, I can tell you that it's higher.
What's higher than 97? 129.
Steve, it is you said 127. It is lower.
Oh my god.
Excuse me, let me get to the edge of my seat.
Do you like numbers? Then this is your game.
I'm going to go with the 111.
Okay. Tim, Alex, Steve, Tim, Alex, Steve. So you've all guessed twice, which let me check the rule book here. We actually have to do a situation where you all have to now guess for
you now all has to show me your nipples one by one nipple.
If you have more than
one of mine
2
is
nipples-
bleeding. Is that okay?
you got breasts up.
Beat me to it.
Okay, so I think all of you know the answer to this, but with the highest without going over, how much was the budget for this film? Tim.
5 million.
Right. Alex.
5 million.
All right, Steve.
We mentioned it.
I believe it was 5,000,001.
Okay.
Oh!
Do I disqualify him?
No. Let him play.
Okay. You all
Let him
knew.
play.
You all knew.
We're going to get the number right anyway.
Tim, the last number that
You
was
telling
said,
me they didn't spend $1 over 5 million?
they could have. Tim, the last number that Steve said was 111.
I said 97.
It's higher than 111. Lower than 97.
That's not possible.
This is why I love this game.
It's lower. It's higher. Sorry. It's higher than 111.
No, it's lower than 111. And
It's
higher
lower.
Than
No, it's higher than 111. It's lower than 129.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you. Keep me honest.
All right. 119.
You got that, Tim?
Somehow. I'm saying 119.
It's not 119. Alex?
Do I get a direction or no?
It's higher than... It's higher than 111.
Actually, you know what? Don't help me.
No. You need help.
123.
Technically, yes. Steve, for the final guess. Higher than... oh my god.
111.
Higher than 111, lower than 123.
Oh, God. $118.
No, none of you got it.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, you kind of scrubbed Alex's one though. You scrubbed it.
Steve's was closest with without going over with 119. The MPAA number this week was 51116. So you guys did a good job.
Not even a number I even closely considered.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe if I had proper guidance about what was higher and what was lower.
If somebody could figure out the difference between higher and lower.
The MPAA, everyone. The MPAA.
I know it's been a while, Jason. I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
No,
it's been a while since you played Verbal Minesweeper. Yes,
it's also true that I don't know. We've probably played a 3-person game like twice ever.
Yeah.
But at this time, we have to do 2 things at the same time. We're gonna have our final thoughts and our home alone of it all and our rating. Steve, do you want to do some sort of combination of those sounds?
I would love to do a combination of those sounds if I could remember exactly where
Break them all at the same
they are.
If you had to pick one, what do you think the Home Alone is? The Home Alone of it all. Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone? I really gotta know. When is the Home Alone of it all? What is the Home Alone of it all? Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
New Year.
Now, our 2 guests this week have a total combined appearances on the show of 17 times. So I don't know if I have to explain it, but if you don't know what we mean by the Home Alone of it all, it is, of course, the moment in the movie Home Alone where Kevin McAllister slaps down the blueprint and decides to
suicidally add somebody to
systemically cultivate organs for the masses. Now, it has kind of changed. The Home Alone of it all is still a factor, so give us that. But we also need your final thought during this. And if you have a rating, whether it be out of 5 or out of 10, we need that as well. So I'm going to let Tim go first this week. Tim's the most versed with the show. He knows what's going on.
So, final thoughts for me. So, Steve is very apt to say that, like, this was not my kind of movie, but as I was watching it, I was keeping 2 things in mind. 1, a shoestring budget, all things considered, and 2, just because I'm not a Chucky fan doesn't make it a bad movie. And I was thinking about what do other Chucky fans get out of this as they watch it, and so keeping those things in mind, I was almost kind of like just imagining Steve or another Chucky fan sitting next to me while watching the movie, and
every time something happened, you imagine me like looking over at you, being like, "Funny, right? Wasn't that funny?"
Yeah, or even better, 5 seconds before something happens, being like, "Watch this, watch this."
Hit my shoulder as it's coming up.
Don't say that to me. That hurts my feelings.
But no, I was thinking about what this movie might mean to other people that enjoy the franchise much more than I do, and I think it hits all its hallmarks that it should, and it does it so very efficiently, but also effectively. Where, and we were talking about the practical effects before, and we're talking about how the digital snow doesn't take you out of it when you see it come up. That they knew, I mean, the budget probably dictated a little bit of this, but they knew how much to use and when. And it's mostly focused, like it's not without it's not a perfect movie, but what is, and so I feel more or less it sets out what it does what it sets out to do, and I think that's extremely commendable considering that there's so many big movies nowadays that like absolutely fall flat on their face, and this one does not. And everyone gives sincere performances, and so even as not somebody that enjoys this franchise, I left it with good things to say about it, and I think that's an accomplishment unto itself. And with that, my Home Alone of it all would be when it's really when the 3 Chuckys are stabbing up the orderly, because that's what I would think the Chucky fans came to see. They wanted to see the mayhem. and that's the peak of the mayhem in the movie for me. And I would give this 4 Chucky fans, 3 out of 4 possessed Chucky dolls.
Perfect.
And thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Tim. How about you, Alex?
Yeah. I think my Home Alone of it all is probably when the hallway scene when the two Chuckys cross each other. Even though I misunderstood the scene when I saw it, I thought it was him jumping from one to another. But in my mind, that shifted from Chucky being kind of like a prop to it kind of seemed like he took the driver's seat. Like it seemed like that was the start of, okay, let's start stirring up trouble and not just, you know what I mean? And not just being like a passenger. He became the driver in a sense. And that was kind of like, for me, I was kind of like, okay, now Chucky shit is about to start happening. And yeah, I liked the movie. The movie was good. I'm not crazy about like horror thrashers, but I think I'm kind of like, I think I just think I'm not. And then every time I watch, like it's the same thing happened with me with Curse of Michael Myers. And it's like, I watched it and I'm like, oh, this is actually good. And then I watched this movie and I'm like, oh, this, even when I watched the Curse of Chucky or whatever the one was before, I was just like, oh, this is actually good. Like, this is a decent movie. And obviously it's about like a possessed doll. So it's like, some of it's going to be like, it's not, obviously it's not going to be fucking Casablanca, but it's like, you know what I mean? But it's like, it was good.
Citizen Kane.
It was very entertaining to watch, and I enjoyed like I was engaged the whole time watching it, and I'm like, and yeah, when you said it's like Bugs Bunny murder, I was like, you know what I mean? It's anything where it's like they have some kind of like setup and fall down like that. And at least when it's happening, you're like, oh yeah, like you're waiting. They did a very good job of like baiting that anticipation for payoff.
I think you might like the rest of the Chucky movie.
Yeah, I genuinely feel like I would watch them.
Yeah.
And what's her name? Fiona Dourif. I think she's almost better than the movie. Like I think she's like, you know what I mean? She really elevates it in. There's some whatever. Like the whole movie is pretty well performed, but it's like okay, well we got an actor in the movie as well as the people in the movie, you know what I mean? Like she was great. Yeah, I mean, if I have to give it like a just like a one word review, it's definitely just.
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deja de estar viendo memes, pendejo. A la verga me vale verga, perro. Y cállense a la verga, hija de su puta madre, la verga. La verga, vergazos.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
like that's a movie. Like if I knew what it was, I would have watched it without having to watch it for the show.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Alex. How about you, Steve?
I mean, for my overall feelings of the movie, I love it. I mean, I love Chucky. You guys know I love Chucky. I don't want to ruin it for anybody who believes in Santa Claus, but that award speech at the beginning, that was just me pretending to be Chucky. We didn't actually get the real Chucky in there. It was just me doing it. I love Chucky.
That was you talking normally.
And I do, there's a part of me that like wishes more movies went on, but this is a very good send off into the show that became something so great as well. And if you even a little bit enjoyed this movie, then you'll probably like the show, and you'll probably like the show the more it goes. And the more you watch the show, the more you're going to realize that I should go back and watch the movies. And the movies almost entirely create the show, all the way back to like, I think the first one. I think the first one, like they still reference all of it. Mm-hmm. The only thing that strays away from the Chucky formula is that fucking Child's Play reboot that came out a couple years ago, which wasn't bad, but it was not a Chucky movie. It was just a movie about a doll. Not the doll that we love, the doll that we watch this movie and we say, when's the Home Alone of it all? And Alex, I'm like, I kind of agree with you that is the Home Alone of it all. When the two dolls cross, perfect Home Alone of it all. But I think that my Home Alone of it all is the moment when they're burning that one Chucky's fingers, and I'm like, and then the fingers are going longer and longer. You're like, oh my god! And then they're like, we're done here. And then she's like, wait, no, the other one. that is what I'm like. This is a Chucky movie. When she's like, no, the other one too. We have to burn the other one, because the entire time, if there's even an inkling of you that is like, this doll is just a regular doll, but it's the other doll sitting in the seat next to it, that's your immediate, and then the movie addresses it immediately. So like, I like that this movie addresses the thoughts that you have as an audience, and every time they do that, that's when I feel like the movie is doing its Home Alone job. When it comes to everything, as a movie, it's not that great, but it's not the first Chucky I'm going to recommend to you. If I was to recommend a Chucky to you, it would not be this one first. It would be probably the first one, and then I would say watch the second one, maybe skip the third one, go right to the Bride of Chucky, and then just watch that one like 4 or 5 times, and then go to the Seed of Chucky, watch it once, and then go and watch these two, and then go back and watch Seed of Chucky another time, and then watch
the show,
and then watch the show. Exactly.
And then watch this podcast.
And then watch this podcast and go back and watch
and then watch all the other episodes of the podcast, and then watch Bride of Chucky.
Yeah. And then watch it all over again, all of it in the same order that I gave you the first time. That's how I feel. Rating. I'm going to give this a Chucky with a bad haircut.
My Home Alone of it all this week is basically the scene that I showed earlier, when Chucky meets the old lady and she gets killed, and then the shit starts to hit the fan. The kills in this movie are the draw. I like this film, but I think it works best as a double feature with Curse of Chucky. And also going in knowing it's sort of the pilot for the TV show that embraces it. I love the winter backdrop and the multiple Chuckys. The Damballa being able to be applied to anything opens up the story to do a who is Chucky thing. I wish the movie did a little more, but of course it doesn't. I think that if this movie was 3 hours long, there would have been a whole like the thing sort of like who's Chucky, but we get what we get. The score is great in this film. I love the fact that it really exemplifies what it means to watch a Chucky movie, but at the same time, it's like a little fun and a little goofy. It has the Chucky vibe while also adding suspense to the gory kill moments. I give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. I also give this movie a Dewey Boochomp Dumba. And now everybody who watches this has a little Jason inside them, and by extension, a little hey, did you see this one? So we're all hey, did you see this one killed now because of me doing that out to the entire internet. We did it. Once again, we did another episode of Hey, Did You See This One? This week it didn't go quite as long. We didn't talk about it for 4.5 hours. But we do have 4 more hours of the show to do because it's time for plugs.
Uh-oh. All right, let me just plug this in right here and...
That sounds like a Chucky kill. Like Chucky set something up, for someone to get murdered.
I can agree with that. Hey, Alex, do you have anything you want to plug this week?
Not really. I don't have much going on. Go watch my other episodes. I think I've been pretty clear that my eventual plan is to take over this podcast. So if you watch the other episodes, go to the YouTube channel and watch the Alex Gal playlist. And if you watch it enough, eventually, if enough people watch it enough times, it won't be viable for them to not have me on. And that is the end game.
Hey, all right. How about you, Tim?
I would also like to plug Alex's episodes. He'll have me on as a guest at that point as well.
Yeah.
Because I got to keep up my guest streak as much as possible.
Right side of history, yeah.
Big ideas for an April Fool's episode. Let's just say that.
I know what butters my bread, so let's just keep it honest here.
Well, thank you guys.
But, everyone watch this show as much as possible because it's always really fun. And it's a cool atmosphere you guys build for it, and but also I would just say for everyone out there paying attention, just take care of each other and love each other as much as you can, and try to spread some good stuff at small little bits at a time if need be, but keep doing the good fight.
I love that so much, and normally I would invite you guys back to the couch like Johnny Carson, but you guys kind of are just also on the couch with me and Steve. So thank you for everything that you've done for our show this far. Steve, what do you have cooking? What do you got boiling up on your little pot there?
Excuse me, I burped. So I am still doing Darth Theorist and the Three-Eyed Theorist, and it's kind of taking over a little bit. So I would recommend everybody go watch that. I did write one that came out yesterday, and it's doing pretty good. And I'm like, more people watch it. More people watch that episode. I did that one. It's called "What If Anakin Skywalker Trained Ahsoka and Starkiller?" And it's doing well, and people like it. But anyway, I'm just I'm projecting because I want more people to like it, so that my scripts do well. But other than that, yeah, not a lot. I mean, I'm doing other stuff, but I can't tell you a lot about it yet. I keep saying that, and one of these days I'm going to be able to tell you about it.
Just have to wait with bated breath.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'll tell you about it.
I can't wait to see that. Yeah, go watch Darth Theorist and Three-Eyed Theorist.
Oh yeah. Also, we just got to like 5 million views on one of them, which is pretty cool. And
congratulations.
Yeah, it's doing all right. And then the Three-Eyed Theorist, I think we're like just under 2 million, which is also pretty cool. Like we're doing well, but not well enough that I'm like, hey, let's go murder people that don't look like me.
You're doing pretty well if you're doing that.
Yeah. I was doing a Charles Lee Ray as a doll. Like, don't look like dolls. That's what I meant.
Yeah. That's what we all took it as too.
Yeah.
It's true. That's what I took it as, especially.
Jason's been working on his Elon.
Yeah. Tim's like, everyone love each other and be nice, and Steve's like, let's go kill people that don't look like us.
And I'm like, yeah. Listen.
Wait, well, no one said yeah.
I did. Listen, everybody in the world knows about this podcast. It's called Hey, Did You See This? When we go live each and every week, each and every week on Twitch and YouTube the next day on Friday or Saturday. I've been doing Saturdays overnight because I'm listening to the SEO of it all. So you can find us over the weekend, is what I'll say, on demand, and also the audio only version of the show. You can also find me, Jason Phillips, as the announcer for the critically acclaimed wrestling company Super Kicked right here in Toronto at the Great Hall each and every month. We have a show coming on March 21st. We just had a great show on February 28th where we changed the game as we usually do. We also, I'd like to tell everybody about the fact that my illustrious co-host Steve what's your illustration?
Go with Boba Black Flat, baby.
Boba Blackfly. He makes all of the great drawings that you can get on television T-shirts. Nope, on regular T-shirts that don't have
Television T-shirts.
For this particular month, the Grimoire of Familiar Killers has a great shirt you can get on Redbubble and TeePublic. It's this shirt right here. He drew that. Also, in
I think I have it actually. I think I have that shirt. Hold on.
In that.
Something for the audio listeners.
Yeah. The people that get through all 15 hours.
There's a lot for the listeners right now.
There it is.
There it is.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's definitely
there it is.
Of all the things that are there, it's definitely that. Oh, there we go. Oh.
You can also get our Kill Age shirt.
Oh, I also have that shirt and that shirt.
Okay, well, we don't have all
You can
night.
get our Kill Age shirt. You can get your Tinkerbell shirt. If you loved it when Zardoz showed up, you can get our Zardoz shirt.
Zardoz.
Howie Mandela Effect T-shirt.
Oh, I gotta get one of those. Oh my god, I gotta get one of those.
I don't think you're allowed near school wearing that.
Coming soon, Corporal Tunnel. And
no, it's
for
Corporal
no
Tunnel
reason,
Syndrome.
Corporal Tunnel Syndrome T-shirt, and for no reason at all, here's a picture of Dr. Doom. No reason at all. Like I said, here's other things that I'm doing. That's pretty much it. You can find me in the club. You can't find me there because I never go there anymore. And you know what? Here's the thing. I really think that I love you guys. I stole that joke from Steve, but he stole that joke from internet. A woman.
I didn't though. I thought it was funny on my own.
Why'd you put so much
Sometimes
stick
I
on
have
it,
my
Jason?
own
A
thoughts,
woman.
Jason.
But it is, of course, the end of the show. And what I've been doing lately with two guests on the show, I'll fire up what we need to fire up here. Yep, there he is. He doesn't moon people when they're sitting. Oh,
I'm coming, brother. Almost there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can also find.
I'm coming, brother. I'll be there soon. Holy hell, dude, I'm only at 2.
And then, of course.
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deja de estar viendo memes, pendejo.
A la verga me vale verga, perro. Y cállense a la verga, cae su puta madre a la verga. La verga, verga.
And then, of course, I do need some cooperation from our guests this week. If you ever have a hope and hell of coming back on, and it is, of course, there's one question that needs to be asked each and every week, but the two of you have to say it at the same time, and I'll count backwards from 3. After I say 3, you'll ask that question, and I'll say 3, 2, 1.
Hey,
did you see this one?
Well, that was pretty good. What did you guys think of it?
It took a lot for me to not puta madre the outro there.
That puta madre gives me this
But I have too much respect for you and this show.
Oh gosh, we did it.
So, I gotta ask you guys ever been on Gotham Radio or what?
I think Charles has been on Gotham Radio a little bit at this point.
What do you mean? Of course, I'm asking you. I have been on multiple times. I'm asking you, Tim Covey, if you have been on Gotham Radio.
I have not yet. No, I've not had the pleasure or the pain.
Well, you're gonna be a guest very, very soon.
Oh no.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with, hey, did you see this one?
and movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mario Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.
Hello. Hello.
Another chapter comes to a close with the Grimoire.
I can't believe. Oh, we forgot to play the fucking thing.
Oh, for screen?
Yeah.
Well, they have to play it for the audience next time.
That's true. You guys want to hear it right now?
Sure, I'm game.
Yeah.
The page is yellowed and dried, cracked and crumbling. A killer's story comes to an end as a chapter reaches its conclusion. But the stories do not. For when one chapter is closed, another opens.
God damn.
The grimoire creeps open once again. This time, a new face dares you to answer the phone.
Hello?
For this month, hey, did you see this one? And the Grimoire of Familiar Killers dares you to answer the question, what's your favorite scary movie?
That's great.
Yeah. Pretty good.
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deja de estar viendo memes, pendejo.
¡A la verga me vale verga, perro! ¡Y cállate a la verga, con su puta madre a la verga! ¡La verga, verga!